Alrighty. Well, now we're fucking live.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Well, now I know that there's a live ticker in the corner to keep an eye out for. I'm like, hey, you should hit record.
Oh well, you don't have to record anything. Because this records all of it.
No, I know, but like, I meant like you should have hit like record like long ago.
Oh yes, yeah, I know. I should have. My bad. But don't worry. I think the good news is that we'll have so much to bounce off of from these worlds that we can just go into whatever tangents we want.
We will. We just will.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you want to do the intro? Since your channel.
I don't even. I don't know.
Because I mean, all you really have to do is just be like, "Hey guys, this is something different. We're talking to my friend. We're going to talk about Kingdom Hearts Disney World, and basically use it as an excuse to talk about whatever we want."
Yeah. All right. Hi everyone. We're doing something a little weird. We don't normally do podcasts like this. This is my friend Ian Waffles. And we're both cage nerds on the ideological different side of things, where he's a 2 stan, I'm a 3 stan. So blood will be shed. And we're just gonna shoot the shit and talk about the Disney worlds or the worlds in general. We might go to like Destiny Island and Traverse Town if we have enough to say. And tangents will be had. There is no denying that. So if you're wanting just hot, steamy Disney discourse, we probably will have timestamps, but we'll go on plenty of tangents.
Oh yeah, and that's what's going to be fun about this is that you and I have been talking for quite a while just about Kingdom Hearts and DMs and Discord and stuff. And it's just always been something that I've wanted to do is just sit down and chat with you about the series, because we definitely just both have different perspectives, but like a similar, like fervent, like, no, this is good. And so,
Yeah.
excited to be here today to talk about it with you.
Me too. I've always thought it's hilarious how we're so different, but we're never angry. Like, we're two very chilled out souls. Like, I'm a Libra, so like our entire vibe is like, if you don't cast the first stone, I'm not gonna throw one back. I don't care. But like, we're passionately in the opposite direction, and I think that's super interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we'll jump into it now. The plan, I guess, is just to talk about 1, 2, and 3's worlds, but obviously, yes, we'll see how long it goes. But and then the other idea I thought of is, when we get to like say Olympus in KH1, we'll just talk about Olympus in general.
Yeah, because it's been in everything. I think the only world that has had that many games to it besides Olympus is, I think it's Agrabah or Halloween Town.
Probably 100 Acre Wood, right? Because it's in 1, 2, 3, and Birth by Sleep.
Yes, and it's also in the retellings. So
yes. So, but all right. So you want to start off with Destiny Islands, and we don't really have anything specific about these worlds. It's not like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give the aesthetic, the music?
No. We're very much just like what are the vibes? Like, how do you feel? And I've always thought Destiny Island was a really good tutorial world. It was a very interesting idea to be like, all right, how do we do the tutorial? You just do it. What? like, okay, first off, we're in this like stained glass hellscape of Disneyland, like the Cathedral of Disney. I'm like, okay, cool. Where's Hunchback? We're not there yet. Okay. So we're dealing with all this stuff, and then we get this like cryptic question cabal of children, and we're all having a grand old time and whatever. And then it's just like, oh, it was all a dream, or was it? And then we're just chilling, and then we're having like play fights and races, and we're having awakenings of some kind, and then Kyrie's just over there making a charm that doesn't do anything for like 100 hours.
That's what she's doing.
Exactly. Kyrie is the Morgana of this island. She literally is just all right, let's go to bed. And it's like, I just got here.
Here's your high potion, go to sleep.
Pretty much. Like, if you've never played Persona 5, that's literally all Morgana does. And I love Morgana, but he's just like, all right, you went to school, and then you hung out with like one friend for like 20 minutes, time to go to bed. And it's like, or, hey, you went to school, let's go to bed. It's like, it's 5 PM. I said go to bed at gunpoint.
Well, I guess with like with that stuff, like with K, I know you're a big Riku guy.
Yeah.
So for me, I have always had the problem of, which is that I thought the game, I was supposed to hate Riku and find 0% redeemable about him, to where the point when he gets locked in hell at the end, I was going, yes, oh, finally he does anything right. Stay in there. And so like, I just wondered, like, how do you feel about like the Destiny Islands in terms of like, its characterization of Riku. I know you have your perspective of like the big picture, but like when you had first played it, did you think he was like, was there anything that you latched onto?
I really got his like, how do I put this? He had like this effortlessness about him. Like okay, so for context of those who don't know, either from Ian's channel or who are new to mine or whatever, I didn't get into the series until I was 21. So I came to the series as an adult man, already gone through his sexual awakening, already gone through all that stuff. And I was like, okay, Riku is clearly compensating for something, and he's just effortlessly trying to get through life. Because the instant Riku shows up, he's like, oh, did you forget about me? And it's like, you're into someone on this island that I don't
He
know
goes,
who.
here, catch my wood, Sora, and he drops it.
Exactly. and then you just see it immediately drop on Sora, and he's like, ah! And like,
Yeah.
you know, and the game paints this whole thing where he and Sora are really having a rivalry over Kairi, but it's really Riku trying to justify his anger at Sora as a 15-year-old not being able to explain what he's feeling. It's like Wicked, like, what is this feeling?
Well, and his just like his kind of insecurity at the fact that he even like has a rival that he needs to be above. You know,
Exactly.
and the game does a good job of that through the
Yeah.
Final Fantasy characters, where like Tidus is like, "Wowie zowie, Riku sure kicked our ass. I bet you could never do that. Man, Kairi sure wants to sleep with him. I bet. Yuck, yuck, yuck." It's like, all right, I'm gonna fight all three of you. Like,
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna beat all of you individually, and then we're gonna tag team you, and I'm still gonna win this. And it's like, I was just about to say, like, the game does a good job of making you really want to punch Riku in his face, so
Yeah.
that because at the start of the game you're too weak to beat him. Like, it's
Yeah.
possible, and I've done it, but it's really hard. And then at the end of the game, you just whoop him like it's nothing.
yeah. Well, and the best part about it is that it is still a very hard fight. But it
Yes.
truly overcame him, both in story and from a gameplay perspective. I heard someone say that I fully believe this, that like Riku, like the race where it has that little pitfall at the start is
Uh-huh.
meant to be bullshit, so that Riku will beat you, and so you'll want to beat him up.
Yes. And every time I've played it since, I always try to like trigger it so that he'll not like, so the AI won't realize that it's fallen, so that he falls, but I can keep going to the little like zipline thing and beat him. I think I've beaten that race like twice.
It's pretty hard, even if you got
It
it.
is.
Mostly just because of the jank tree platforming section. 'Cause if
Yes.
that up, then you're screwed. But like, I don't know if you noticed, but like throughout the race, he will, like, if he's far enough ahead of you, he will just walk,
Yes, I have noticed that.
which is
And
hilarious. Like,
it is because it's a weird, it's a little thing of like, it's like human rubber banding. And then the minute you catch up to him, he's like, oh shit, and then he starts like picking up
Yeah.
the pace a little bit.
and then I love that if you beat him or whatever, you're like, yeah, that's 1-0, and he's like, bro, it's just like a name of a boat.
Yeah, like he's so smug if he wins, but he tries to act all cool, and that so that both times Sora's just like, really, you dick.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, here's your pretty stone.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like the vibe of Destiny Island in general, I always found was, I burn in the sun like a crab, so I can't say it's homey, but it's very relaxed, and I like the fact there's tree houses there, and like this is something that Avery said in his Birth by Sleep videos, like, where do these people come from? What are they doing? Like, how did they get here? It's like, yeah, they don't live on this island, but like, where's the main island? Like, you look around the Destiny Island and you're like, where is this main island you speak of? Like, this just looks like a literally like people were marooned here and then made a life out of it.
I do think that adds to the charm, though, because I think that is a child's dream of like having like a secret base that mom and dad can't find and like they can't see you or whatever. So I kind of like that from like an aesthetic perspective.
Yeah, I can get that.
Also, in 2, apparently, like it's just like a really hard stone throws away. So
Okay, is it okay? We'll get to 2 later, but I always just considered that Destiny Island was in the same location as Twilight Town. It looks the same.
like the little beach part.
Yeah, where Kairi puts the letter down, it looks like, if you look behind her, it looks like the slums of Twilight Town at the where you go to find the 7 wonders.
Yeah, the Sunset Terrace or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that would be the funniest. That's the funniest plot twist of like, oh, we were already home.
That's why I always think that it's weird how people are like, oh man, we haven't seen Hanger Pants and Omelet in so long. And it's like, aren't they like right there? Like, couldn't they just go see, like they're right there. Go see them.
No, 'em, nerds. Yeah, that's funny.
But then again, like as soon as 2 ends, we jump right into Coded, which is like maybe a day, and then Dream Drop Distance is another day, and then 3 starts immediately after. No, I think it's like a day after that too, because there's that whole retelling of 0.2 from Mickey,
yeah.
or maybe that's like an hour. I don't know. Like the events of KH2 to KH3 are like 3 days at the most, maybe
Which
a
is
week
funny.
tops. It really is. When you think of like, oh man, we've spent this whole time. It's hilarious that the shortest game releases has a year gap in the lore, but the longest releases have like a week tops.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to imagine time passes in 2 just because like when you return to the Disney worlds, things have changed. But
Yeah,
no, it's pretty funny. Let's see. But I mean, do you have anything else about Destiny Islands?
I feel like the secret place would be a very nice, chilled out, like atmospheric, white noise place to take a nap. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, no, I mean you can hear like the waterfall in there.
Exactly.
And whenever the creepy homeless man's not there, it's pretty cool. So
Exactly. When Herbert the pervert's not there, it's pretty good.
yeah. Oh, so I don't know. So yeah, you wouldn't have had this experience. So I'll get to share something that having like those big fat CRTVs would have provided. So like when I played the game, and I think just KH1 in general, it's a lot darker. I think the original, and especially if you're playing on like these old TVs or whatever, the big fat ones or whatever. Like when you go into the secret place or whatever, and you have Ansem talking to you, it just seems like there's just like a voice in the room because you can't see him. Because it's just like pitch black in there. So it's terrifying when you have Billy Zane being like, "Hello there, my dear child."
Which is so weird that it's Billy Zane. Like,
yeah, there's like particular voices in each game where you're like, really? That guy's in this? What? So for 1, it's like Billy Zane, and then for like 2, it's like Christopher Lee. And I would say right now it's like Christopher Lloyd being Xehanort.
oh yeah, the series has always had stellar voice casting. I always thought it was hilarious that they got Mandy Moore for Aerith in. We'll get to. Well, I'll say that for a minute. Actually, let's just go to Traverse Town because we're pretty much done with this.
Yeah, let's go to Traverse Town. So yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, so the Final Fantasy, I don't know, melting pot that is Traverse Town is probably my favorite hub world. I don't know what it is. I have no other than it just feels super homey and I just miss the vibes.
Oh, it's absolutely the best one.
Like everyone's like, oh man, Twilight Town or Radiant Garden and I'm like, I don't like how I don't. You ever been to the Midwest when it's sunsetty?
Oh yeah, I live there.
I mean, so do I. It's just the afternoon sun is a vile bitch who needs to be shot. It's so permeative with how bright that specifically the sunsetting sun is.
Right.
Like, so that's why I don't like Twilight Town's aesthetic.
Yeah, I just
like,
always imagine that they're those lucky bastards who have like just a nice breeze all day. You know.
Yes.
Those jerks.
But like 3, like the opening scene of Twilight Town in 3, where they're walking down the tram ramp thing, I always was like, man, that gives me such like, I know that sun is right in his eyes, and I can tell, and it hurts.
At least in 3, it has like a town fair vibe. So like, that's a little more like palatable, where it's like, all right, the sun's going to go down, and we're gonna watch our little movie, our Mickey Mouse cartoon movie. And
oh no, I feel like the sun is like living, not the sun. The Twilight Town is like living on a comet where like it's always like Alaska. It's just always sunny. So they had to like get that little alcove where it's always shady to watch movies because it never goes down ever.
Yeah, that's what I always think is like a Twilight Town has to just be always at twilight, which I think is a cool idea.
Yeah, it's like Halloween Town at night perpetually.
Yeah, but sorry to go back to Traverse Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just always found it weird that like they got Mandy Moore for Aerith, but then they couldn't get her for Rapunzel.
She was too cool by then, I guess.
I think she got snubbed the role in 2, and so it was like, you know what? I don't want to be near this project anymore, and they just never came back to it, or she just was on tour. I think she was touring at the time of 3's recording, which sucks because I didn't know that wasn't Mandy Moore until I googled the credits, and I was like, damn, what is her name? I always forget her name, but
yeah,
she
did a great job.
What is her? I just typed Rapunzel KH3. I didn't type her voice actress. What is it?
Well,
Kelsey Lansdowne. I'll put her name up somewhere. But she was pitch perfect. I couldn't even remember. I was like, damn, she did my girl justice.
Yeah, no, they did a great
Yeah,
job. Well, that's I
yeah.
mean that's always like I guess as a general thing. Like all right, so have you ever read any of the Kingdom Hearts manga?
No, I've read like snippets on Reddit. I mean, I know it's terrible, but like people will just put meme pages on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, of course. And I
I had
think
to learn
like
the
this
hard way that mangas are read right to left. Because I was
Yeah,
reading it left to right. And I'm like, this makes some kind of sense, but this just doesn't. Maybe it's just a translation error. Then I read it again, as I
you're
remember
like,
that my boyfriend reads
"Oh,
mangas. He reads like JoJo mangas. So I was like, oh wait, they're backwards. So I went back and read it, and I was like, oh, that's way funnier.
yeah." Well, as a character in JoJo says, I will never forgive the Japanese. So
Thank you, Joseph.
I'm glad you do. But yeah, so
Yes.
with how do I put this? Oh, so just a thing that I think is like when we talk about like what makes Kingdom Hearts really unique and special, I do think that like as much as like I enjoy looking at the manga's art style and stuff, there is just you'll never be able to like even if the writing was a million times better, you will never be able to compete with reading Donald Duck's dialogue versus just actually hearing the real voice actor for Donald Duck say these lines. And that's kind of what I feel about with like a lot of the Disney characters. It's like there is just something so special, even if she doesn't say much, about hearing the voice actress for Alice do Alice, you know?
Oh yeah,
Um,
Catherine Beaumont. Actually, swear to God, I learned this fact, and it was like one of my favorite things to learn. Catherine Beaumont played both Alice and Wendy in her original debuts of those characters back in the
yep,
40s and 50s or whatever.
yep,
She still voiced them in the first.
KH1.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like I think she even. I don't know when she died, but I think she reprised her role as Alice in Recoded as well. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive. And I think like that and like even when it's not like the official voices, it's the official replacement voices or whatever, like with Mushu or Genie. And I don't know, like with Kingdom Hearts, I know there's like obviously like when you experience a piece of media, a lot of times I think it's fun to enjoy it just as you're just enjoying it as like in universe, I guess. But what's fun about Kingdom Hearts is that there is an extra value and enjoyment from knowing like, no, that's the Alice voice actress, and she's in this weird Japanese Disney crossover game with like this nonsense. That's awesome, and it just makes it better, you know.
And she took the role without batting an eye at it. She was like, okay.
Well, that's
Because
what. Yeah, go ahead.
it's in all Disney contracts that you get first picks of your
Yeah,
role.
yeah.
Unless you are fired from the company, you get to either decline or accept it as first grabs because that's you made the character iconic. It's not fair to be like, oh no, well you're too
We'll
expensive.
just
We'll
release
just
you.
yeah, like Jennifer Hale is the new Cinderella, and you could tell that she was really excited to become the new Cinderella because she's a Cinderella in both of the sequels, but also Birth by Sleep, and she's also Aurora, and I think she's also another character in Birth by Sleep, which is hilarious because they use the same actress for Maleficent, Flora, and Lady Tremaine, and it's like they're like, all right, we already had her on payroll. Let's just have her voice two other characters who are bit parts.
Yeah, and I don't know, like just like Pete wouldn't be the same if it wasn't actually Jim Cummings doing Pete, you know?
Yeah,
And it
although
wouldn't it wouldn't feel as weird, I guess, like in the cool way that Kingdom Hearts is weird, you know?
it never struck me that it was Jim Cummings till you said that because now it's just like, oh my god, it's just Tigger's dopey cousin.
It's just Tigger's dopey cousin and Dr. Robotnik's furry counterpart
Wait, does he voice Dr. Robotnik?
in Sonic SatAM.
Oh, yes, he does. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Snively. Yeah.
I forget that.
Yeah. But that's just I think that's just more of a general point, but I do think that's where a lot of the Disney magic comes from for the KH games, which is when you can tell like, oh, that really is like to me, like that's what streamlines the idea of like this anime boy is talking to Aladdin. It's like nobody really is talking to the voice of Aladdin, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
the voice of Mulan, you know? And it's cool for the Final Fantasy characters because a lot of them made their start in Kingdom Hearts and became like the voice for them for a very long time, like with Cloud especially.
Oh yeah. And I always think that's funny. It's like Final Fantasy like stands are really angry at how they're portrayed in this, but I'm like, you wouldn't have the voice of Cloud and Advent Children or Crisis Core without Kingdom Hearts. Like the guy who got the role is just there because of this weird crossover because his creator was like Shinji Hashimoto pitched the idea, and then Nomura was like, "I'll take that bet," and then made a career out of it.
I don't know. Speaking of Nomura, just as like a funny like whatever thing. There's a book that I have called like The Making of Kingdom Hearts or whatever. And one of the things it goes through like the whole like kind of package or the creation of like 1 through Dream Drop, I think. And it goes through
that makes sense.
behind the scenes stuff. And one of my favorite parts is when he talks about like how the production meeting with Nomura and Disney went, where they came, like he went to America and then they were like, here's all our ideas we have. And like, they were saying like, we want you to have this, you know, in there. We want you to do this. You need to do this. And then apparently Nomura was like, all right, so I don't want to do any of that. Here's what I brought. And then he just showed them his insane pitch. And then they were like, what's that? And he's like, that's a chainsaw. And they were like, no, you can't. Okay. Here's what
I have heard variations of this.
Yeah.
I still love, Sora's original design was this weird lion boy thing.
Lion boy. Yeah.
And I'm so glad they went away from it because like he reincorporated that into a different character later, and I'm glad about that. But something about Sora, and I desperately think that's why Simba made it into the game, and then in 2 why he got turned into a lion.
Yeah, so you could bring it back.
Oh my god, I just realized Simba has been in all 3 numbered installments. That is so fucking wild to me.
Yeah, good for him. So has Ariel.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, both these redheaded children of like royalty going through their own separate like romantic midlife crisis. I'm like, fuck the lion boy. Good for the mermaid gal. She deserved it. Like, her and her daughter deserve everything the world can give them, and fuck everyone else who says no. Actually, okay, so I just posted the 11 worlds I want in the series, and I had Little Mermaid 2, and someone was like, you can't do that because Little Mermaid 2 is set like 12 years after the first one at the minimum, and I'm like, I'm completely fine with the worlds having their own time zones, and in fact they do, because there's literally in the same galaxy of space 2 worlds set in Germanic like 1800s or 1600s something, and then the Caribbean in like the 1800s, and then modern day like futuristic San Francisco. Like, what are you talking about?
As Site Avery said, he's like, the Kingdom Hearts lore is fucked because there's so many worlds in this that take place in capital E Earth.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I always just thought that, if you want to make the Disney canonicity one long timeline, you can do that, but then the Kingdom Hearts is like, no, these are all pocket dimensions.
Yeah, here's why. Yeah, go ahead. You can finish.
I was just like, in KH1, we literally go through the plot of Little Mermaid 1 minus Eric, like Sans Eric, and then in 2, we do the same plot with Eric, and then like it's the same thing. Ursula's just back. There's no explanation how she got back. Like, even a shitty one like Maleficent, where it was like, oh no, we remembered her name, and now her cloak is back, and then her staff magically appears in her hand.
Is that like a real like fairy tale myth of like remembering someone's name? Because that feels so oddly specific.
I believe it is, because it doesn't make sense otherwise to be, because it's not how anyone else is brought back ever.
Yeah, which I actually like. I know like it is silly, but I kind of like how like that kind of feels a little badass of like they bring the cloak, like the little bird brings the cloak, and it's like, oh shit, is that don't you dare think of it, don't you dare. And then she just like starts rising out from it's like, shit, we remembered her. Oh no.
Let's go tell some competent people. Go, go, go.
Yeah, right.
Where's Philip when you need him?
Yeah, I just think that's like kind of a fun idea. Like we must not remember her name. Oh dear.
Okay.
Since it is the 3 fairies.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. They are freaking out.
So 2 things real quick. I am 100% convinced that Sora's necklace was designed after King Philip's crown. Not King Philip. King whatever the hell his name is from Sleeping Beauty, because it's the same design.
Yeah, Prince Raisin Bran.
Yeah. See, no, his name is, you know what, now his canonical name is just King Rosencrantz, because his best friend is Guildenstern and you can't convince me otherwise. I think his name is Richard or something, I don't know. Regardless,
yeah, I think that's right.
So it's funny how like so Maleficent's biggest adversary outside of her movie has the same iconography. She just can't escape it, and that's why I think she was always designed to be like a figurehead of like antagonism for Sora, because that's too specific to not be a thing. But also, I cannot get over the fact that Maleficent, mistress of all evil, the bitch who cursed a baby for not being like brought to her christening, was defeated by a man named Philip.
Yeah. Me, the mistress of all evil. Yeah. No, she's good. I think Nomura has confirmed that they brought her back in 2 just because people liked her.
I mean, how can you not like, Mistress of All Evil? You can't tell me she's not iconic.
She's too fun, and
She is too fun. Like she's the only bitch in the room buying her own stuff, but she is making a hefty profit off of what she's selling.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure. I think we agree on this, but I think she's fun in 2. Like, I actually like legitimately like her as like we took all her stuff and now she's just trying to she's just like, yeah, but I'm still like the queen of the multiverse, and it's like, no man, you only have Pete. She's like, whatever, we're just gonna steal a castle. Like I kind of like her as like this representation of like how strong Sora's gotten, and just how like she's like this comedic villain throughout the story because she just won't give up her like sass. But then that's kind of what makes her cool when she saves us and actually works together to defeat the new villains. So
yeah,
I enjoy her. Also, I just appreciate that unlike in KH1, we actually see her work together with other Disney villains like Oogie Boogie or Pete. Whoa, crazy thought.
So I always did like that how Maleficent goes from being like, I am the one who is in charge. I am the ruined one. I am the bad guy. I am the one that needs to win, to fine, I will help you out of this jam you got yourself into, but make no mistake, I am the one to kill you.
Yeah, no, it's got that fun vibe to it. And plus, I think just her having Pete there helps make the transition smoother.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Pete is 100% like her disenfranchised lackey who really needs a good hug, but will never get it.
Dude, he was a jerk at a party and he was locked in a doom dimension. Like, yeah.
I know, like, he just wanted to be recognized for like something, and then here's the thing. This is one thing I'm glad that Avery didn't say in his video, because it's like the biggest like, you don't know what you're talking about moments. Like, a lot of people will say like, didn't Mickey banish Pete? I'm like, clearly he's off doing hot mouse shit with other people. Who cares if it's Mickey and Donald, or Minnie and Donald just attributed to Mickey because patriotism? I think at least Minnie did something in Birth by Slave besides just stand there and look pretty. At least she delegated a task. That's the most that she's ever done.
She also gave me ice cream. That's pretty nice of her.
Yeah.
She's a badass in 2. What do you mean?
That's fair. She does have that light thing. I've always said that if you're gonna do a Kyrie game, give Kyrie Minnie and Daisy. Like, make Daisy into like this make Daisy the tank with like this full like she's got like this suit of armor on kind of, and like gauntlets that like make a shield when she puts her arm together. And then like Minnie has got like these thruster arms. Like, if you've ever played Mirrorverse, like there's this like attack mini variant of her that, she looks like Iron Man basically, but like have her do that just with magic. I'm cool with that. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, no, I've always wished that, like, I don't know, it just needs to happen eventually. Just give us like Kyrie and like her team and they just do stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. They need to do what Rift Apart did, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where you have 2 different characters you're playing, and while it doesn't make sense story-wise, it is very convenient for gameplay-wise. Just have them share stats when you transfer.
Yeah.
So just like all you have to do is swap models, and obviously you got to do different animations. But if you want to save time, if you want to have like Daisy be a wizard, and Minnie have like her instead of a shield, it's her little light ball or whatever. You can kind of change over some attacks and share them or whatever. I think it would be a lot of fun.
No, you're good. It would be fun, but I'm really hesitant to make Daisy the equivalent of Donald. I don't want it to be a gender flip thing, which is why I wanted, ironically, Minnie to be the gender flip, because I didn't think about it. But like, I think of her being more of an offensive, like, I guess Mickey is pretty offensive as well, but he's more of the attacker because he's got the blade. But I think Minnie having more magic based stuff and like primarily using like projectiles would make more sense, because she's not a Keyblade wielder yet. A big emphasis on the word yet. I swear to God, that's going to happen. And then Daisy being a tank, it makes it somewhat more interesting than, we just Gorlified the team. We just yesified the team a little bit.
Yes,
no.
I was more looking at it from like a production standpoint. It's like, we can't do that. We'd have to reanimate things. It's like, just do it.
Like, you can do the exact same attacks, just tweak it for the rig you've got going on and be done. I don't care if Daisy and Goofy have the same attacks.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Don't make Daisy a mage, because that's not her. Daisy is much more of the pragmatic one, so she's going to sit there and think, whereas Donald's just going to be cast happy.
Yeah, he's going to go and just drop lightning.
Yeah, exactly. And then like in the respective, like in that game finale, you could just have the pairs all pair off. Like you got Sora and Kyrie, Donald and Daisy, or Donald and Daisy and Goofy and Minnie. So that way everyone's covered like tactically, but you still get the couples to kind of like, I don't want to say Goofy and Minnie are a couple, but you get the groups to like do their thing, and then you can see how they all combine and work. And another thing you can do is what Gotham Knights did, where you play as different characters, and like kind of like what you were saying, how like the stats stay the same, but like you get the level ups from, like, say you're playing as Sora and then you want to switch over to Kyrie, or the Kyrie part of the game happens. You switch over to her and the level ups have happened, but now you just get her AP points unequipped. They're just waiting for you to be used. That's Gotham Knights did that. I'm like, oh, that's so helpful. I don't have to play the same game 4 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. But to wrap back around, I guess to finish up to Traverse Town.
I don't think we really did anything with it. We just kind of like talked about voice acting.
Yeah, I know. I guess what I'll say about it is what I think makes it the best is, one, what you said about just kind of the vibe of it, but 2, it's that there's just so much to do, because it's I think it's the peak of KH1's puzzle. Like, there's a billion different things in every room level design, where like every room in that game or in that world had like 5 different secrets, or like, different things you can do that not only grant you secrets, but like make the like layout of the world. Like, you have like the secret tunnel that leads to little hideaway. You have like connections. You have the little secret house for Merlin. You have turning on the clock tower, and like that the gizmo shop gets like more animated. You get all the little letters. You can turn on the fireplace in Sid's shop. So there's just like so many. The Moogle shop above gets unlocked. There's just so many things about it that feel alive, and I think it, like, if there was any Disney world that I would, or any world in a Kingdom Hearts game I would want to live in, it's there. Just because it just always feels like it's got the vibe of like chilling out, like Twilight Town, but it always feels like it's like nighttime.
It's never the same
like
world.
If you want to do
when you
something
come
like
back.
you can. Yeah, go ahead.
It's never the same world twice when you come back. Like, something's always changing, and by virtue of it being a hub world, it's allowed to like be simple when you first get there. But the more you look at it, the more easy it is to navigate. The more fun it is to go looking around for stuff. Like, you're not like the first time you go to the 3rd district without like having Thunder, like, oh, I gotta trek all the way back to the 1st district.
Yeah,
and then when you get Thunder, you're like, oh, I could just walk here and go straight to Merlin. So like, it's such an easy little thing, and the trinities everywhere, and the fact you need higher level spells like Blizzard to get rid of all the candles, that's a really cool idea. And Twilight Town, because it's locked for half the game, it doesn't really have that option. Also because it's the tutorial.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason they didn't want you coming back is because you spend 4 hours there, and they're like, all right, they're probably sick of it.
Which was a good call.
I agree. I think Twilight Town is great for the thing it was there for.
Yeah, and Hollow Bastion is similar, but there's no reason to go back until you have to go back. Like, I think you're forced to go there like 3 times after the initial visit. Like, once for the story connecting thread for Pooh's book, and then the raid in Hollow Bastion, and then Space Paranoids again. But otherwise, it's just kind of there, which it's fine. I like the fact that you lose that staircase the first time, like after when the raid in Hollow Bastion happens, because it got wrecked.
Yeah, like we talked about it, where similar to Twilight Town. I think it's like with KH2, obviously, it's kind of similar to how their level designs are different, where KH1 wants you to keep coming back and like getting familiar with the layout. KH2 is more about like, in the moment, we're going all in on this really cool thing. If you want to explore, though, there's not really much to it. But if you are enjoying the ride, you're not really going to want to go back, because you want to go to the next story beat, the next world, the next cool location. So it's just kind of different in terms of its execution. But it does give KH1's worlds more replay value, which I think is something very special about it, and something that I do love about it. So yeah,
which is one reason I liked 3's Lucky Emblems, was that it allowed you to, like, okay, the worlds are kind of static. As much as I love 3, there's not much to really go back for, unless it's like chests or emblems or like mini games you want to play. Like, there's not super much there's not like puzzles to solve,
or like new, or second visits.
No, which I will concede would have been nice, but I get why they weren't a thing.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect. That's the worst part about. Well, sorry, I'll let you continue, but that's the worst part about second visits, is that they only really made sense for 2 because of 2's lowered first half stakes, but like they just don't make sense in any of the other games.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dream Drop Distance had a really smart idea with Traverse Town, being that it has you come back for Spellikin, and also the Twoe group is like I want the series to just focus on them. They were great. I like to compare Traverse Town to from DDD to its original self. I immediately cared way more about the Twoe group, and I had no idea who the fuck they were. I'm like, oh, other original Tetsunomura characters. Hi, how are you? Who are you? And
They
then
also just
like
have awesome theme songs. So
that, yes, like everything about them was immediately just so much more engaging to me. Joshua's introduction, I wanted to punch the shit out of him, but the more the game went on, I was like, oh, I like you a lot. Why do I
yeah,
like you so much?
you didn't fall head over heels when Leon went, "He'll follow you out of nowhere."
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Continue to roll a Keyblade.
just mumbles McMutters,
Yeah.
just like just like, what is this like? I feel like the first game, as and two especially, a little bit relied on the glitz and glamour of the, you know who this character is, let's like not put any effort into making them cool besides Cloud.
And one, I think, here's what I'll give them credit for in one, which is that I think Yuffie is lame. Like, she, all she has going for is her chipper attitude, but she's not in it much, so she's lame.
God bless Mae Whitman though.
Yeah, I love Mae Whitman. Katada. So anyway, we have that. Then you have Aerith. Aerith just gives you exposition. Who cares? And then you have Cloud. Cloud is cool. He has a great moment with Sora where they're talking about like, your light, don't lose sight of it. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That scene's really great. And then I will say that they do give Leon some characterization, which is that he's kind of dumb. Like they have like a scene where he's explaining summons to you or something, and they're like, how does it work or whatever. And then he just has like triple dots, and then like the cutscene ends, and then if you talk to him again, it's like, Leon, seriously, how do we find more of these? And he just says like triple dots, like
just like kind of like pulling an Alberto moment, just like, I don't know. Like, you think I basically invented it. How does it work? Moving on. Just
yeah. Whereas what I always appreciate about 2 is that since you have that raid in Hollow Bastion, all of the Final Fantasy characters minus Aerith get to be cool badasses that fight with you.
Yeah.
And I just think because you visit it so much, characters like Yuffie, like I like Yuffie. Like I think she gets more expressiveness to her personality, like jumping off the thing and being like, I see you guys are in top form, and like grabbing onto her hip or whatever and be like, is that supposed to be Leon? Like they have more chemistry.
Yeah.
And they get to be badass. So
yeah, like in 2, they up the personality a lot, but in 1, it was just very much like I think it pulled double duty. They were like, you need to have like, here's X Final Fantasy character. You like X Final Fantasy character, therefore we don't need to work on them because this is more about setting up who Sora is and the main conflict in 3 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah, well, and we literally know why that happened, which is that they were going to be OCs, like just real characters, and then Nomura realized, well, why would a player care about anything they're saying when they could be doing Disney stuff right now? So he made them Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah, and
that's it. Which is why they just give exposition.
Which is so ironic because as soon as that happened, you see the immediate shift in 2 to being like a secondary, we're sorry we were so boring in the first game kind of thing.
Yeah, we're your friends. We hang out with Merlin the Wizard. Like Sid and Merlin have like a rivalry. They like fight each other or whatever.
They're like old, they're just like grandpas who don't know how each other's shit works, but they have coffee together every day and they're great.
Yeah.
Like they're like rival business partners who still get together and compare notes just to see how the other's doing.
Yeah, well, or then just like, I mean, I said this in my video, but like Kingdom Hearts 2 feels like it is the only game in the entire franchise that is not ashamed that it is stupid and embraces it. Because like, and I mean like for the concept of Disney, Final Fantasy, and original characters are hanging out. In 1, it feels like it's like, and I appreciate this about it, or I respect it about it. It feels like it's like too good for that. Like it doesn't really have the Disney characters interact with Final Fantasy. It doesn't really even have Donald and Goofy interact with Disney because it's just trying to be like a vibe, bro. Like it's not that weird. We're cool. And then in KH2, they just have the little Chinese man from Mulan punch Sora, and then Donald Duck gets into a brawl with him. Or you have, Hayner, and his first lines are just like, "Nice comeback, Blondie," and just being a little jerk. So, yeah. Or you have the Gullwings are just here. Why are they here? Because that's fun. Because the concept of Kingdom Hearts is fun, guys. Let's do fun things. So
exactly. And I always find it weird how like the Gold Wings are never named, so you never know what their names are. So it's like, oh hey, we found, like, I would have loved if someone just went, oh hey, it's Riku, and then Sora turned around and went, what? And then
What?
like, and then it's just one of the Gold Wings who's a pixie for no reason. And he was like, oh. You're
Yeah,
not who I
exactly.
thought. You're not my friend. And then he just like sulks off to the ship.
Friend.
You're not my friend, but just bro, good buddy, friend, palo.
Yeah. No, but what I will say is that what I think overall KH1 has in terms of using Final Fantasy is that I think it does better with the Colosseum stuff, where like you get to fight them and like they have like they just like team them all up as like one Final Fantasy fight in the Coliseum, and it's lame and boring. Whereas like in one, you have like different brackets where it's like you'll fight them separately, and then it's like, oh man, Leon and Cloud are teaming up. And because of KH1's more like in the moment system, like it's not as flashy as 2, it really does feel like you get to fight these guys. Whereas in 2, by the time you get to that tournament where they're in, you are so like overpowered and crazy that it really doesn't even feel like you can, like you won't even learn their attack turns, because you just go into final form and then are blitzing them with like 5 different limits and like, you know, spamming fire and
you'll just keyblender them to death.
Yeah, so like to me, like you don't even like, it doesn't even feel like they're there, and I hate that. So that's what I really appreciate about 1 is that even though they don't really do much in the story, I did appreciate that they really like they didn't have to do this. They gave them all fighting styles, because they don't even fight in the story or in gameplay other than Leon and Cloud. So it's really impressive that they actually gave like Yuffie like an entire combat system, you know, even though she doesn't fight in that game. So
yeah, that completely that's such a really good thing, that it makes the charm of KH1 a lot better, which is really the point of Traverse Town. It's just this charming little fun. See how I loop back around there? It's just this fun little charming. This fun little charming place where you get to meet these legacy characters away from any of their own baggage, because this is not their story, it's Sora's.
Yes.
And people always say that 1 had the best mixture. I'm like, it was accidental. It was completely by like sheer, like, I need legacy players in this thing. I need to bring in heavy fire gun power to make this worth a damn.
Yeah.
Like, so kids don't turn off the game because they can't skip cutscenes yet. So
oh yeah, don't remind me.
like nowadays people are like, oh, they don't do anything, but like they were still cool and whatever. It's like, yeah, but back then, like 20 years ago, oh my god, 21 years ago, we can say that. God, we're old, we need to die now. God,
indeed, it's time.
But 21 years ago, when we were both like, you know, tinker toddlers over here, it didn't really matter because it was just this cool thing.
Yeah. And that I think overall, like, I guess since we've been talking for 50 minutes and we've only gotten to Traverse Town, if I could wrap up a general praise for the worlds of KH1 with Disney, would be the fact that I think, regardless of any of my critiques of like, I would have liked the Disney Villain Council to work together more, or I would have liked more interactions between Donald and Goofy and those characters. That's only a problem to me in my head in terms of like fan discourse, in terms of like seeing people praise it so highly. But when I'm actually playing Kingdom Hearts 1, the reason it doesn't bother me is because KH1's cutscenes are so snappy and the game is such a vibe that like it actually isn't a problem.
I would totally, like, if they were to remake KH1, I'm like, just do a hard remake. Like, do SpongeBob Rehydrated. Don't do like a modern Kingdom Hearts remake. I don't want that, because KH1 is such a unique entity that I want it preserved.
Yes.
With its own weirdness. I don't want you to make Kingdom Hearts 1.1 Final Mix. I don't need that.
Yeah, exactly.
Would I like more lore implications? Sure, but I don't need you to make, because then it will cause an entire discourse of like, oh, remake 2, the best game in the franchise. Like, make it even better, make the level design good. And it's like, guys, we don't
just leave it.
just move on. Like, it's hard.
With Kingdom Hearts specifically, we are very fortunate that like with some games, like they're just kind of like, imagine like my love for KH1 and 2 is allowed to be as good as it is because it wasn't stuck at being 30 frames per second, original versions, no final mixes, no little graphical tweaks. It is fortunate enough to have a graphic style that is like so timeless, you know?
Yeah.
And like you don't like I don't want to like mess with that. Like I don't think like to me Kingdom Hearts games, the Kingdom Hearts franchise is one of the most like fortunate gaming franchise or like to be a fan of because like yeah, if like now I have Kingdom Hearts 2 in 60 frames or Kingdom Hearts 1 in 60 frames, I have remixed soundtracks that sound gorgeous. Like most game franchises wish they had that, you know? So it's like
I have enemies with better color palettes.
yeah, they've aged so well because they were preserved properly, you know? I don't
Yeah.
want a remake. They're just good. Just leave them be. You know,
it's weird that like Nomura and Square have cared so much about this one franchise that is not even fully theirs, and a character and characters that aren't even fully theirs because like Sora and Riku and all them are technically Disney characters
they're
because
Disney characters.
they used Mickey's icon as their iconography, so they technically aren't fully Square's characters, but they have so much passion for it and so much they see the love for the franchise that not even Nintendo will rival because they don't care. Nintendo cares about the money of things. Like it took 30 years and 9 generations to get an open world Pokemon game, a mainline Pokemon game, and people are still bitching at it because it's not perfect. And I have my own gripes with Scarlet and Violet. Like there's no voice acting. And I'm like, guys, you were the most like profitable thing in the world. Pay people to speak into a microphone. I don't care if it's Ben Diskin or if it's someone in your office building. Just give these scenes that are emotionally resonant power to like because like okay, so I don't know what it's called, but I can't see pictures in my head and I can hear voices, but I have to know the voice intimately and I have to hear them say certain things. I can't picture a voice actor for you. So it's just me stuntily reading your dialogue in my own head. And I've seen like these fan dubs on the internet and they're wonderful. Like pay people, like just spend the extra $3,000 and pay people to voice your shit.
I'll even settle for like Peanuts where it's just like
yeah, I'll take Chibi Robo. I'll take Chibi Robo where it's just a bunch of nonsense that's just completely independent of the language you're using, but it adds personality to them.
it's cute.
Yeah. Like Kirby does that a lot too. Like every time someone talks in Kirby, it's like it's just little things that give character to a world. And it gives them like you can imagine that that's real words, not just a book I'm reading for lore.
Yes.
But like Nintendo hasn't ever like remade Mario 64. They've only remastered it, and they've shittily remastered it once for the 3D All-Stars collection. Like you could just remake Mario 64 from the ground up in the new Mario Odyssey engine, and fans would kiss your feet for it for hours. But they don't do it because they can rest on their laurels and make more money by selling like their online subscription thing that gives them like the N64 stuff. And Square understands that the fans want this stuff readily available and preserved in a good way continuously, consistently, except for the cloud version on Switch. Fuck you. I want that Switch Keyblade, but I'm not paying for a cloud version of this game.
Yeah, no, if I could play KH1 and 2 and all those games on Switch, that would just be a dream come true. Not in cloud. Dang.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like truly, like I have the Epic Game Store. I technically could buy 3 and all of them on the store. And I want to for like mods. I really want to try out this Riku mod I've seen. It's so good. But that's different than the Switch version, which is just so bad because it's a cloud version. Like I hope that dies. I hope it does. Anyway,
I agree. But I will. I was gonna say. So I've had plenty of time to gush about 2. So I kind of want to hand the reins. Unless you had something else to say, I want to hand the reins over to you to talk about a 3 world.
Okay, so I'm discounting Olympus from this conversation because that's its own separate conversation as a comparison. But
yes,
I think the best world that exemplifies everything as best it can besides Olympus is Corona, and that's because it's there's no loading zones, period, except for the town, the going to the kingdom itself. It's it's a straight path, but there's still winds and twists and like alcoves and caves and things to explore. And it runs beautifully. Like I've never had a technical glitch or a graphical glitch. Nothing's ever been wrong with Corona as a world. And
no, I love every second of Corona. Like I think it's one of my it's definitely like my top 5 favorite like Disney worlds in the series, just because the amount of like just the simple fact of we have to take Rapunzel to the little starlight thing, and Sora sees in her himself of like someone who wanted to get out of their home and see the world. And then you, through gameplay, if you want can go out of your way to give Rapunzel the best day of her life. You can use magic to make the little flowers bloom and fly around. You can help these little critters that she finds. You can slowly bring these little birds to her, and then
You can splash her with water.
Yeah, one, you're rewarded for that, and two, it just makes me care so much.
This is why she's best princess. Even in gameplay, they were like, we have to make her even more adorable because they knew. This is the thing I hate about the awareness of Disney is that in this case, it works well. They knew not everyone saw Tangled, but everyone's seen Frozen. So they're like, we have to endear players to Rapunzel because she's not going to be in the game for very long. So we have to make them care about her wants and needs. So let's make little mini games that they can skip. But then in Frozen, they're like, you've seen it. Who cares? I don't like. Disney did not care one iota about the Frozen world. They just were like, put it in the game and do whatever.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they cared too much. That was the problem. But with Corona, I really did like it because it's the best princess, the best couple. It's my favorite movie of all time, for God's sake. And it's just such a good recreation of the movie. But this is my nail in the coffin for, they're just retelling the movies. I'm like, yeah, but in this case, it makes sense. What else can you do with Tangled the movie? The TV series was in development alongside the game and didn't come out till the game came out, so you couldn't do the show.
Well, I also think that complaint is just like, it falls into the category of like, I noticed, where it's just like, oh, that's just the movie. It's like, okay, well, did you ever stop to think about like how well it does it? Because some of the Disney worlds do take the movies, do it. I think Mulan does it, but to stick to Corona, that's what makes it good, is that it's like, who cares if it's doing the movie? The point is if like it's engaging from Sora being involved, you know? Like I agree with you. I don't just want to watch Let It Go, but I do want to watch the movie of Tangled, where I get to be one of Rapunzel's friends and like go through this little obstacle course and help her through her story and get to fight for her and all these kinds of things because I'm invested in it, you know? Like that's where I think where I don't like the Disney recreation scenes are when they don't involve Sora, Doll, and Goofy, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're supposed to care about the Disney characters in their movies. It's like, well, no, you've just butchered a scene from the movie. But when it's not doing that, when it's integrating them, that's what's great about it, is that you get to relive these movies in a different way, in a different context, and it works. So yeah,
like to borrow the obvious comparison, the real world comparison of Tangled versus Frozen, of Corona versus Arendelle. At the end of Tangled, you've just fought the Grim Guardianess. You just got in the window. You're seeing Eugene on the floor and Rapunzel's crying at him, and they're sad because they spent time with this guy. Like, it's only been a few days, but that's as long as she's known him.
And they get to say goodbye to them too, like afterwards.
Yes.
They get to talk. And then Arendelle, go ahead.
Yeah, and then Arendelle is just, who's that girl? She's very sad. I will follow her. Okay, we'll save her from some monsters. And then she barricades us away. And then we have to go into a reused climax palace. And then we have to go chase her. And then watch an admittedly good song that's aged like milk because people won't stop bitching about it. And then we get pushed down by best villain, and then we have to go find her again, and then get pushed down by like second best snowman, and then see worst villain walk off, not even talk, walk off with a corpse of girl we saw sad, and then we just do it. I'm skipping over Anna, Kristoff, and Olaf because it's a cute mini game and I care about them, but the game doesn't let you have them as party members when the whole point of the movie is following them. Like, at least if they had gotten put in the party at this point, I would have been okay with it. Because I had this concept where, have you ever played Shrek 2? This makes sense, I promise.
I've heard of the game. Like, I've seen it.
So in the semi-final level where you're in Far, Far Away and you're going to the castle before the final boss fight, Shrek and Donkey are this one amalgamation hero because they're both human, and this is the only level where they're both, well, they're not human, but Donkey's a horse. Like, where they're in their enchanted form, so they get to work as a tandem thing. I've always thought that Kristoff should be on Sven, and they should kind of mimic, the three of them should mimic what Monsters Inc. does, where it's Kristoff and Sven as a tank. Anna has Kristoff's loot, and she like kicks up snow and like does different songs to like help with defense or boost like have Heartless focus on her, so that way that, you know, they're more easily taken out. And then Olaf is just kind of there running around. He might do like a link with you or something, I don't know. Like little things like that would be so much more endearing because I care about Boo, Sully, and Mike because they are with me the whole time. They have
like when they paint themselves, that sticks, you know, for part of the level and stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's really cute. And Boo is such an interesting like little cute thing. And I've noticed this where like if you she's she's like a bad FNAF security breach animatronic. She'll just like teleport randomly when you're not paying attention, but they
Yeah.
hide it so well. Like she always teleports behind something and then walks around the corner. Like that's good design.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and like she has a good little mini game where, or not mini game, but like she's a good gimmick throughout the world, or like to like build up the laugh factor or whatever, and then
Yeah,
like
the laugh
all
meter.
the anime.
And
And to so real quick, go back to Arendelle real quick. What makes that one lame by comparison to Tangled is that yeah, you watch the end of Frozen. Sora has no like, oh no, Anna or Elsa, like no like moments with them, and then the world just ends. Like they don't even say goodbye.
yeah, there's no
And,
like it's just this CG cutscene of them going like, "Yay, it's snowing! It's not no longer like hot, cold as hell. They're just on a boat somewhere." And I'm like, from like I understand all these characters have met Sora, but from the outside looking in, this looks creepy as hell. Like, what's with those abominations and that weird dressed kid on the boat with the queen and crown princess?
Yeah, well, and again, like you couldn't even say like goodbye. But I mean, there's no one to say goodbye to because we don't even know these people really. Like
Exactly.
very well.
And like another thing about Arendelle is that like they should have cribbed from Rapunzel in that in the start of the world, Eugene's very quickly to have her go back to the tower. I'm like, all right, we'll just part as unlikely friends or whatever. And she's like, no, I am seeing those lanterns. I am doing what I want for my birthday. Fuck everyone. And then she gets up, grabs her hair by the roots, and like just is like, I'm not afraid to face them, and then starts doing combat. Like,
yeah, like it's integrated into that. Well, and also like that's a funny premise too of like Flynn being like, these are my posse, and they're like, excuse me, and it's like, just go along, bro.
these are
Like,
my
okay.
sidekicks. And he's like,
Yeah.
what?
Like that world's just great in terms of like all the interactions. Like just I don't know, like by the end of it, especially since you have like the phone, so you can go like hang out in the water or whatever, and like Rapunzel will be like, oh, you want to take a picture of me? Like that's just so cute.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, that'd be a great painting. Stuff like that. It's so good. And like the fact that we got when they're doing the lantern thing, they integrated the minigame into like a movie moment that everyone like the Kingdom Dance is what it's called in the soundtrack, is one of the most iconic things of the 2010s Disney. And
Oh yeah,
they
you get to dance with Rapunzel. I forgot.
yeah, and they do it so, like it's not the exact same music, which hurts my soul because it's such a good track, but it's still good music and it's such a good minigame. And when you go back to get an A rank on it, you get Thunderspin with Donald, which is a really good fusion attack.
Yeah, well, and you also get to explore the town, which you don't get to do in Arendelle. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just so much about it that it's like, man, we
Yeah,
could have
and-
done a lot of. But yeah, I absolutely adore Corona, and I just think it's
Yeah,
a wonderful world.
I agree. And it's
Even,
just
like the
like
little
my
swamp,
favorite.
like there's the little swamp area. Like it's got so much variety.
Oh yeah, the marsh is great, and that has its own separate music tracks from the
Yeah.
rest of the level.
And then like it's got like a new vibe to it because you have like nobodies in there.
Yeah.
Such a good world. And then there's like the monkey boss where like you have to knock the monkey off the tower.
Oh yeah, the
Turns-
Bloom's
and then
Tower
it turns
defense
into a horse.
carriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's always been. I love the chaos. I think it's the chaos carriage or something, because the curse carriage is from. Oh, the curse coach is from Birth by Sleep, but the chaos carriage is just. I love him. It's like they were like, okay, we can't have Maximus as a party member. How do we incorporate a horse into this? Boss fight.
You get to kill
Boss fight, a reoccurring enemy. I'm like, okay, cool. And then my favorite scene in that world, aside from the I'm not afraid to face them, is when they finally get to the lanterns and they recreate the boat scene so well, and then it pans over to Sora and the boys just marveling at the beauty of it, and then the nobody's coming because they're like, okay, we haven't had combat in a while, and then like you just had to crash the party, didn't you? And then we got this beautifully lit, like gorgeous fight scene.
Yeah, at
with, like,
night with all the lanterns and like
Yeah.
it's such a cool like that's a moment where like you're removing Sora and Goofy from the movie scene, but like in a cool way, to where it's like it would make sense they wouldn't want to impose
intrude on the moment.
Well, and also like you spent all that like you had more cute moments with Rapunzel than Eugene did, so we gotta let him have his moment, okay?
Yeah, we gotta let the romance happen so that way we don't have more fandom discourse over who Sora's supposed to date, and it can't be a Disney princess.
Yeah, is he gonna date Ariel, Rapunzel?
Riku, Kairi, I mean, what?
Well, that's what I mean. Is like Kyrie should be super jealous. Like,
I don't think think she's had time to be told all of his adventures. They haven't had
I know.
time
They all take
together.
place in the day, like you said.
I don't think he's even told her that he's flown yet.
Oh yeah, he was gonna tell her that he saw a pirate. Well, I guess that's a good segue. We can talk about Caribbean, even though we'll mostly talk about 3. I do like that there's this recurring thing with all the games that he likes pirates. He just thinks pirates are cool.
Yeah, that's another thing. Pirates has been a consistent thing in all 3 numbered titles, and even in Birth by Sleep, which I love how Ventus is just like, wow, a pirate, and then like just like Sora, but then Terra's just like, I gotta do a fucking job, and Aqua's like, I'm being forced to LARP.
Terra's like, I gotta beat up a child.
Yeah,
third one today.
If I could, it really is. If I could pivot for a minute, for people who say Terra has terrible voice acting, shut the fuck up. Terra has a great voice actor. He's just given a character who has to play a role while also playing a role. Like, it's hard to emote when you're playing a monastery student.
Right.
But with Pirates of the Caribbean, I need to not go into my Terra tangent. I love that boy so much. But with Pirates, I think it's hilarious how 2 and 3 are, pun not intended, literally night and day.
Yeah.
They're so different. Like in 2, it's this uncanny valley curse of the Black Pearl, which it really is, just weirdness that doesn't make a lot of sense, and like it's painful to look at because it's like, oh, those textures did not load well or didn't age well. Like if there was one world in 2 I'd be okay with getting a remake, it's Pirates, because those skeletons would look sick as hell.
Well, what I think, because I agree with you, but the reason I think it works and moves into the janky charm territory is that since everything else in the game has like a stylized aesthetic, it, like, I don't know how they did it, but it almost feels like the pirate world is stylized realism, if that makes any sense.
No,
like,
I completely agree with you.
Like the gritty textures don't feel like, look guys, this is supposed to look, modern day tech. It feels like it's almost like, here's like a aesthetically cool gritty texture. But what I think sells it is that Donald and Goofy and Sora don't change, and I think that's my favorite part about it in 2. And the reason you know that they are in on the joke is because they didn't have to put him there, but Pete's in that world, and there's no way they did not know. So
there's no way. I think they saw they're like, okay, we want to test the PS2 to its limits. Let's use a real world. And then they started modeling it, and each individual component looked good on its own. But then when they started to make the level and they added the human characters and they started doing the skeletons, they were like, I think this looks dumb and we can't go back. We're too far in now. And then
like it doesn't look good enough.
Yeah, like it's.
And so then they were like, you know what we have to do? We're gonna put Pete.
Like, and then Nomura just sitting there, like getting the unicorn kush off his nose, was like, all right, so it's not bad enough that it's so bad it's good, but it's not good enough to be good. We're in that weird uncanny valley zone. So hear me out. Unchanged Pete.
Yeah, an unchanged Sora, Donald, and Goofy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it work. I think that's why, because I said it in one of my videos where it's like, they don't, like, it's not like they match other worlds either, but like most of the time, like when they go to one, they do not match. Obviously,
No.
When they go to Agrabah, they don't match. XYZ. Tarzan, they don't match. But I think that's where Kingdom Hearts' like general strength of like variety comes in, where it's like even for KH3, I'm sure graphics are going to keep getting better and better. And I think what makes it work there too is that regardless of like all the dirt and grime they put on Sora and Goofy, they still look ridiculous, and like it embraces that ridiculousness. It
looks like a cosplay of a cosplay.
Yeah, and like that's what's fun. What I genuinely love about 3's world is that it has the thing I love about 2, where like we're returning, and I love how much Jack Sparrow just like trusts and likes Sora, Donald, and Goofy, and like he thinks
they're the only ones
cool.
who didn't try to like kill him.
Yeah, but I like that he remembered that. Like the game actually decided to like have that continuity, and there's even like there's like 2 really nice scenes between him and Jack where he's like Davy Jones is like, you're a big loser boy, Sora, and then he's like, the whelp knows far more than you give him credit for. And then at the very end, they have a really nice moment where they're watching Elizabeth and Will. Oh wow, they only have that much time to like, be with each other. And he's like, well, Sora, the heart always has enough time to say what's true. And you know that more than anybody. And I'm like, aw.
Yeah, I remember that. And see, everyone dunks on the moment when Sora just punches Davy Jones in the head. And I'm like,
well, that's great. That's what I want.
I know, that's exactly what I wanted. Which I love how all of the high rendered, like pre-rendered CG cutscenes, they actually don't have the Keyblade ever shown because they didn't want to render 1,000 different scenes of it, which
I
is
did
so
not notice.
smart.
I did not notice that. That's amazing.
There's one in Corona at the end when they're all like happy jumping around. The one in Arendelle at the end. The one at the end of Pirates where he punches them because like they didn't want to render. They didn't want to. The only cutscene in the game that has a different Keyblade set in stone for it to happen than the one you currently have equipped is the one in San Francisco where you have Star Shooter because they have to have you have that Keyblade to do the gun transformation. Now, would I have liked them to do a different cutscene for every Keyblade? Yes, but I understand why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't even notice, so it's a good workaround.
Yeah, but like in the high rendered ones, the only high rendered pre-rendered cutscene that has the Keyblade in it is at the very end when they're going to when he's like, I have to go save Kyrie, and they're like, no, don't, you'll be fine. She's let her die or whatever. Like they don't care. Like I mean, they care, but they're more afraid for his safety. And then he pulls up his Kingdom Key, and then
Yeah,
it's
which
just
that
the end
one's
of the
like
game.
simple and iconic, so like they can just do it.
Yeah, would I have liked a highly rendered favorite deputy? Of course. But again, it's iconic and it's the end of the game. It's the canonical ending. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, but in the middle of the game, it would be super weird to out of nowhere have this high rendered Kingdom Key one when you're not using that. Like most people will use, like especially on New Game Plus, people will either use High Wind or
Ultima,
or even Crystal Snow if you just came from Arendelle on a standard playthrough.
Well, that one's just a good Keyblade.
It is a really good Keyblade. I hate Arendelle, but Crystal Snow is what saves it from being fucking garbage. It's like, all right, I slugged through this and I got a really good Keyblade. Sit here.
But yeah, no, I really, that's what I think, like, one of the big, like, wins for me with Cage 3 was that ever since I was a kid, like, finishing Cage 2, you know, as graphics got better and better, I always thought, like, even as a kid, I thought it was funny and cool that, like, Donald Duck is talking to realistic-looking skeletons and murdering them. So I thought, I want that back in Cage 3 because, you know, at my point, I thought it was going to be, like, for the PS3. I was like, think of what the graphics are going to look like and think how funny it's going to look, you know? And I'm like, when I saw that Pirates was in this, I was like, oh my gosh, they gave me my dream. Jiminy Cricket listened. He wished on the star for me. So yeah,
I'm still salty that they didn't put Dead Man's Chest in DDP.
Yeah.
That is, like, I understand you wanted to have Tron Legacy, but, like, you could have done that like, you could have had both. Both would have been fine. Why did you have to, like, you didn't need to... The grid is so pointless in that game. It adds nothing. It doesn't even add anything to 3 that Coded didn't already establish.
I mean, the only thing it has going for it is the scene where he reaches out for Tron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we don't follow up on, so...
And I mean, I love the grid Riku. Like, it's a great outfit, but honestly, Pirate Riku would have been 1,000 times better.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, yeah, whenever it comes to these realistic worlds, like, I don't think Kingdom Hearts should shy away from them. I think that's what makes it fun, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Fun, people.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that's why I if I had my way, like, people are always like, oh man, Star Wars, oh man, Marvel. I'm like, all right, Spider-Man and The Force Awakens. Let's go.
Yeah.
Fuck the prequels. Fuck the original trilogy. I want Rey. I want Poe. I want Finn. I want BB-8. I want Tom Holland. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I real quick fun behind the scene thing about Cage 2's Pirates, which is that I did find an interview where someone was like, so you showed off Pirates of the Caribbean, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, don't you think it's a little weird that to have this like live action world with like these cartoony characters? And Nomura said something to the effect of like, he's like, no, haven't you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes. I think I read
like,
this somewhere.
Like,
that's such a really good point.
Yeah, I was like, Nomura, I like where your head's at.
Which now I really want like the I want like the final game of the series to have Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, we actually know if, at least from that book, there was one world in Cage 2 that Nomura really wanted and he could not get. And apparently it was also a live action one. And so people theorized that it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Which of course, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah. Especially if you can get Bob Hoskins back in the role.
Well, yeah. Well, it's also just like the idea of like Toontown and like this realistic world with like all these cartoony gadgets you can use and like.
I think mainly it was just Warner Brothers that was being the stick in the mud there.
Yeah, I would assume that's the problem, is because I don't think Disney owns Roger Rabbit movie.
No, technically Spielberg owns it.
Yes. So that was
Like
probably
their individual IPs within that are theirs, but the story and the movie belong to Steven Spielberg, I believe.
yeah. So with the context of like him being like, oh yeah, I mean, you've seen Roger Rabbit, it's not weird. And then like knowing that there was one world he could not get, I'm willing to imagine it was that one.
Oh, I'll bet a pretty penny on that one.
What do
So
you here's the question I have for you about 3. What do you think of the smaller amount of worlds but they're bigger? Would you have preferred smaller worlds but there's many of them, or do you actually prefer that there's only like, I think there's only like 6, right? If you don't
it's
count
8. If you don't count Winnie the Pooh, there's 8.
Okay,
7.
7. Okay, cool. Yeah.
No,
So what do you
I
think?
lied. No, I'm right. 7 because it's Toy Box, Olympus, Corona, Monstropolis, Arendelle, Pirates, San Fran.
San Francisco. So that's 7, and then Winnie the Pooh's 8, but it's like a
Yeah.
10-minute potty break. So
It's a poo break.
it's a poo break. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I actually prefer 3's methodology because I have conceded to the point that I think return visits would have been a cool idea, but there isn't really a like you said earlier, there really isn't a way to get it done correctly because
Yes.
we don't have time to take a break. We have we have bald Ben to punch in the face. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
We have waifus to just let sit there.
Well, and also like I said in 2, like it kind of feels like a lot of time passes between when you go and when you return. So it kind of KH3 kind of needs to happen in one day because we're doing a lot, you know?
Yeah, I think if you count the day to night shifts in all the worlds like Corona, San Fran, and Arendelle, then I would believe that all of this is happening within about 4 or 5 days tops.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there's a lot of like traveling between dimensions, and the realm of darkness is like in its own time sphere. And I personally don't care about the wibbly wobbly timey wimey aspect of it. I just cared that I had fun. And
Yes.
so with
I
3's
agree.
worlds, I think because like I'm working on this, like hopefully it'll be out by the time this is out, but it's this KH4 pitch basically. I really wanted to use like an intro where it was like I went from the KH4 logo and then my thumbnail just like faded in where the logo like went to the spot where the logo was in the logo in the thumbnail, but I was like the way the title is written it would seem weird. But anyway, I actually have like, if you count all of the non-Disney worlds, there's 17 worlds.
Uh-huh.
Because I brought back everything. I brought back Mysterious Tower. I brought back Disney Castle, Twilight Town, Traverse Town, and then there's like 12 Disney worlds, and then the final world, which is like Scala or something. Whatever world Amora wants to make up for that one, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's just make a bunch of like big KH3 worlds over the course of 8 years. I think that's fine.
Uh-huh.
I like the bigger world, and I even incorporated second visits into it. So I'm like, let's just make everything like everywhere, everything all together all at once. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And
I
so
getcha.
I think 3's methodology is a good stepping stone, but if we can get the mixture of both return visits and bigger worlds, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I
'cause
agree.
I like I like a 1 and 2 story structure that like I think Land of Dragons was the perfect amalgamation of this, where you have the first arc that is one and done, but then the second bit calls back to the first one, but has nothing to do with the villain of the first part.
Well, and it ties into like the main story with like seeing Riku.
Yeah, like for a quick little whatever, like Kim Possible's world. Like I'm using my top 11 worlds
Heck yeah.
as basis. So Kim Possible's world, the first arc is just a simple dragon plot. You know, you go in, you stop in, whatever, and then like the second visit, like you leave. You know, you think everything's good. Draken's in jail for 5 minutes. She goes doing her nails somewhere off in the lair, waiting to save him, and then you go. You get that. Also, I made this clear. When you beat the first arc, I want this to be like a red herring for the first time people play it. You get that world's Keyblade. I hate not getting Keyblades till the middle of the game. I hate it. So you get a Keyblade, and then we can talk about this in a different podcast, but like this is just a general overview. And then you go and do another world's first arc, and then the Kim world will be like, hey, there's something coming back like to do over here again if you want. And then the second arc happens where Draken's like encoded with darkness and is actually a threat now.
Yeah.
Like I think having the first and second arc be tangentially related or being a result of your first arc endeavors be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean that could be another podcast where we talk about like theories for like I think when more KH4 information comes out, we should do like a theory video.
Oh yeah.
But I'm trying to think, what's another world? I mean, okay, we could talk about Winnie the Pooh overall. What do you think of that world? Do you want it to come back? I know you don't because you want to see the first.
Actually, I do have a world for Winnie the Pooh in my pitch, and it's just this silly. If it's a one-stopper, I don't care. It's a silly thing where Tigger's taken over by darkness, and he creates like the letters P, Z, and B as like bouncing heartless enemies, and then like a carrot because he likes to fuck with Rabbit. Just stupid things like that. I think that would be super like funny. And I don't like 3's 100 Acre Wood that much. I love the detail. I love they brought Lumpy in. I miss Eeyore, rest in peace, friend. But like, I like Lumpy. I love the characters.
I love the aesthetic.
I love the aesthetic.
Like the hatch crossing or whatever.
Yes. I do not like Tom Kenny's voice as Rabbit because he was also the 2011 movie.
Yeah.
Ever since I have it's this weird thing my boyfriend will do. He loves Tom Kenny, so he's always like, "Oh, look, it's Tom Kenny." I'm like, "I know it's Tom Kenny. I can hear it. Stop pointing it out."
Yeah. So I also think Pooh's voice has gotten a little worse in 3. Like you can tell like Jim Cummings is old.
Yeah, he still does Tigger flawlessly.
Yes, Tigger is great.
I think it's because it's just that sloppiness to it, whereas with Pooh, you have to have these like very consistent inflections that doesn't really lend itself to aging.
Yeah, but here would be my meme idea for Winnie the Pooh, which I think would be fun, is that it's not a world, but it takes place of the phone games where what would happen is because like it's Kingdom Hearts, so you can come up with whatever bullshit you want. They go to Merlin and Merlin's like, Sora, there's something weird with the book. He's like, oh my gosh, are the pages out again? He's like, no. It turns out there's more blank pages now like that have been added to the ending, and there's this QR code in the back sleeve, and then you scan it, and now he has a phone digital download version of 100 Acre Wood, and you can just play mini games with Pooh.
That sounds amazing, but I honestly kind of wanted it to be like I kind of expected you to go, wait, where are the pages totally? No. It turned into an iPad.
Yeah. And you have to find chargers. Yes!
They keep breaking every time you do a page. Like, it only has enough charge for you to go into one page at a time.
Yeah. And then like Sora starts being like, why do I feel like I want to break something? Are these my gamer urges? Anytime he loses, he just wants to like break the screen. It's like, no, you're gonna kill Pooh.
I've noticed this about. This is a commentary on just. I'm gonna rope in like 3 or 4 different things here, so buckle in, boyo. So, right. Sora has always been an obvious stand-in for Christopher Robin.
Yeah,
and I love Sora and I love Christopher Robin so much. Like I was doing this like Disney marathon ranking thing. I'm telling the audience, I know you know this, but like I'm doing this thing. I'm ripping off LS Mark. I'm trying to be better at it though. I'll fail probably, but I'm ripping off LS Mark doing this thing. And I watched both Winnie the Pooh movies, and there's something about the way Christopher is written that is so obviously good for either. So in like the one from the 70s, it was a good jumping off point for Sora, and then I think the developer, the writers of this movie saw Sora and went, let's make Christopher that. And so in the 2011 movie, he's just Sora. He's just so cool, but he's just delightfully British.
Okay, interesting. In what ways do you feel he's like Sora?
He's very patient. He's very understanding. He's very calm. He's very down on their level. He teaches them very basic things like, just because I'm not here doesn't mean I'm not, in your heart. Like things like that. Stuff that Sora does. And this leads me to another thing. It's a very wild tangent. I think that Christopher Robin is a much better character, and I care more about the toys of Winnie the Pooh and their relationship to Chris than I do the toys of Toy Story to Andy, because Andy is a plot device.
Yeah, exactly. He's supposed to be us.
Yes, but the thing is that we're not Andy, so I don't really care about Andy. I don't care if I care if the toys get back to Andy because they care about him, but I don't care about him. That's why in 3 I was like, oh cool, they got a owner who's like able to play with them and who is like gonna be playing with them for quite a while. And I even liked 4 when it was all about getting back to Bonnie and the toy she made. I cared about that more because Bonnie's a character that we get to spend time with.
Yeah.
4 has Bonnie being the main B plot, which Andy never got. He was just kind of it almost feels like in the first movie they treated him like Cow and Chicken's parents, where you never saw his face half the time.
Right.
You never see Andy's mom's face until the sequel.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think they were like, okay, we already kind of messed up on Andy and Sid. Let's just like see if we can make her look better next time.
Oh, Sid, the most non-villain villain. He didn't know.
He did not. He didn't know. He didn't know. Hashtag pour one out for Sid.
For it.
Like that's trauma and therapy right there.
That is gonna be like, because you know how like nowadays like we're with movies like this, it's like let's go back and like real deal, like if this were like serious. And so someone's gonna make like a Sid movie one day, like it'll be a short and it'll be like Sid going to therapy.
Yeah. Actually I've been getting really into these like rewriting Disney books. So, and like I read one of the A Twisted Tale books. Of course it was the Rapunzel one. Very good. It's kind of in the same contiguous universe as the TV show, so like the Moonstone is a thing, but it's just the moonflower. So Rapunzel has like silver hair and everyone thinks her hair is all about killing things because like on the new moon, which when there's no moon in the sky, it kills things.
Yeah.
But that's all they know they can do. But then as the month goes on, it can do other things. The book has like a regular ass chameleon that her hair then transforms into the Pascal we know. And Maximus was once a person that got turned into a horse.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting read, but I feel like someone's going to make a book. Oh, and I'm on the Villainous series now, or I'll flip back between like gay romances, A Twisted Tale, and then Villainous, because like that's a good way to keep things fresh. I'm not listening to the same kind of stuff over and over.
Yeah.
I just listened to Red, White, and Royal Blue. Very cute, very good. I can't wait for the movie. I want a sequel. Look, it was super good to read. But that's my book recommend of the week apparently.
Yeah.
So the Villainous series is like just, I think, from what I'm understanding, because I'm on the first one, which is about the evil queen from Snow White. I think it's just giving backstory to what happened before the movie. I have absolutely no idea, because it's just kind of like, I'm in chapter 8 of like 72, because it's the first 3 books in one 12-hour chunk.
Yeah.
So far, nothing has happened. Like, it's just been random like vignettes of the queen being nice to Snow White. Are you retelling the story, or are you explaining how she became a bitch? I don't know what's happening here.
Are these official?
I believe they are.
Okay.
It says it has the Disney logo on top of it, so I have no idea why not. And it has the artwork of the
I just didn't know if this was like a you know, because they're public domain kind of, you know.
Yeah, I mean Snow White definitely is at this point, but like Ursula, the Beast, they're not in any way public domain yet. So it has the Disney logo on top of it, so I am assuming that someone on the Disney higher ups went, all right, I'll sign off on this series.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Kilala Princess?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you might be into this because what it is it's about this like anime girl who like loves Disney princesses, and she goes into like each of the books and teams up with one of them and goes on an adventure and then takes back whatever the lesson was into real life.
Oh, I think a friend of my old coworker told me about this. His wife loved that anime, that manga. Not manga. God damn it, I can't think.
Sounds super cute.
Yeah, it sounds very wholesome, very much like someone went, let's genderfy Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and I just think it's kind of fun to tie back into what you were talking about. I do appreciate that, you know, if it's not in their mainstream stuff, there are parts of Disney that are like more niche where you can get these kind of like cool Kingdom Hearts-esque where it's like, wait, this is like official? They made this?
Yeah.
You know? And that's kind of fun. So
yeah. And I can totally get to that. But yeah, I don't doubt that someone's gonna make like a Pixar spin-off of that where like Charles Muntz gets a book dictating his whole like the diary of when he was in Paradise Falls, or Otto makes a digital log explaining why he got to the way he was, or Pixar villains are so boring. If they're not Syndrome, they're boring.
Syndrome! Yeah.
Syndrome. Anyway.
I love, but real quick about him, I love the short that explains how he got Jack Jack, and he goes in and she's like, hey, I'm here to pick up the kid, and she's like, oh, you don't look like a babysitter. It's like,
the BS meme.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, you know, the S means sitter. I was gonna get babysitter, but you know how that would be.
you don't want to walk around with a big BS on your chest.
Yeah, you don't want to walk around with a big BS. Yeah, that's fun.
That meme template is so funny. While we're on Pixar, I really think the smartest idea was to do Galaxy Toys the way they did.
Yeah, I like it.
Because like we want a toy store, but Al's Toy Barn is too small, so we got to have something bigger that fits the idea and we've already had like a cowboy aesthetic with Alice Toy Barn. Let's go space themed.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
I just
Like-
thought of it as I was saying it.
changing the theme. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I literally just thought of that as I was saying it. I didn't like have a pontificating thought. That's how my best writing comes out. It's just like, and we're typing. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Stream of consciousness.
Heck yeah. No, I wish I could do that. But yeah, actually, that's a good point. So how do you feel? I mean, we could talk about those worlds, obviously, but how do you feel about, at least for KH3, the inclusion of Pixar? Or would you have preferred for the original trilogy and everything in between, we're just doing Disney, if that makes sense?
I'm torn because while I'm like, yes, they finally got the good boys in here. Like, he's been wanting this for so long, and we finally got it.
Yeah, he's been wanting it since KH2.
Yeah, I think KH1 was actually where I think the models were in KH1 as summons. Wow. Yeah, I could be misremembering that. That might be the KH2 thing, but
yeah, I know they're in KH2, but
yeah. He's been gunning for it since forever, but I think I'm torn because like it's a really good idea to have that consistency, and honestly, you could have thrown in like the Great Mouse Detective for the size joke.
Yeah.
I've been gunning for that world forever. That sounds so fun. But like if you want to keep the size aspect and like humans are really big, a toy box, throw in Great Mouse Detective, and then if you want to do like, oh hey, we're like creatures now, you could do probably like Oliver and Company, or
we must have the same brain because I wanted Oliver and Company too.
I actually didn't like that movie until I was watching it for the review, because I was like, oh man, I was really burnt out on Why Should I Worry, but then I was like, oh, this is really cute and charming. I forgot.
Damn it, it's actually good.
Yeah, like it was because people were like, oh man, Oliver and Company was like the last dud they had, and then Little Mermaid happened. Like, you realize that all of the things you love about Little Mermaid started in Oliver and Company. Like every trope started there.
It also just has one of like the sickest villain deaths where he gets ran over.
He just gets run over by a train.
That traumatized me as a kid. Like not like not in a bad way, but in like a oh shit, he really got it.
Even when I was a kid, I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah. No, and I love I don't know, that movie's just cute. I love all the different dogs.
Yeah, like they really went way harder on the dog breeds than you would think they did. Also, Bette Midler, what a queen. That or Emperor's New Groove, Lilo and Stitch.
Please, one day, just give me actual Hawaii.
Let us go to Hawaii.
Yeah, let me catch Stitch cousins.
Okay, so funny you say that. You've seen my pitch thing for the worlds I want. The Pokemon world, and I've had people get really mad at me in the comments. Like yesterday, people were on I think it was Friday or something, but people were just on my ass like, how can Pokemon be in Kingdom Hearts? It's a Warner Brothers property, and like it ran on Disney XD. If Blue Sky is able to be counted for this, why can't I have my pipe dream?
I was gonna say that, like, regardless, it's there to just be like, even if it would never ever happen, the one door that I'm allowed in my fantasy world, I'm taking it.
Exactly. If I got to, and everyone's like, well, there's no way, someone was like, well, maybe it's the Nintendo only world, and I'm like, I really doubt that would work, because then that opens a can of worms for like a Call of Duty world or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, but I did. That's a cursed image.
Yeah.
Sora on the beaches of Normandy, the Destiny Island World War. No, just do Guantanamo Bay, but Destiny Island. That would fucking play. Anyway, so if I can't have my Pokemon world, just take that exact same concept and throw it to Lilo and Stitch. Let us just, catch up with him, meet Lilo, maybe have Terra. Maybe this is a Birth by Sleep world, because they have more of an attachment to them. I
guess if you wanted like a cute little moment, you could have it be that at one point Stitch calls Sora Ven.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, why did I do that?
No, not even that. Better yet, then Sora's like, oh, you know Ven? He's like, Ven for an end. And then he calls the three of them on their on one of their phones. He's like, hey, I have a little surprise for you. And then he puts it in landscape mode. And then you just see Stitch like run around like a cracker old baby on the wall. And he's like, friends. And like, he's just happy. And then he pulls up the wayfinder.
Lilo's in the background like, who the fuck is this?
She's just got sunglasses on with a slushie. He's like, sup.
Yeah. I'm his friend now.
Yeah. She's like, yo. And then he pulls out the wayfinder and is like, look, circle. And like it's just so cute. And then they pull out theirs, or they're at the gravesite of Ericus, like having a picnic or whatever. And like, look, we have ours too. And like they have this little moment. Like I could so see that if you want to keep Sora the protagonist of this world. But I honestly think having a game where you can pick, like each world has a different team, and then for the finale you can pick what team you play as. I would be so cool with that.
No, I'd really like that too, just because at this point, like the rest of the, like Sora's had enough development that like he's at that phase of like you can just have him be there, and like yeah, if you want to swap him out with someone and give them more time, do it. Like Sora's defined enough, you know.
Sora is the driver of the Kingdom Hearts battle bus, and then everyone else just gets development.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that would be cute. And then, like you said, if you could, I mean, because we can have literally like how many party members now? 5?
4. No, yeah, 4.
I mean, counting Sora.
5,
So
yeah. You count Sora.
So like, yeah, why shouldn't I be able to have Donald, Goofy, and then you can decide Disney character or a Disney character, and if there's 2 of them, you can have swap that out with another character. You know.
Actually, I think what would be cool is that you have if you want, you could what could happen is we still have the 4 that we have Sora and the other 4. So it's just like if you want to have a trio with Sora and maybe Donald or Goofy. Like let's use BBS as an example because duh. So if you want to have a tank, you can have either Terra or Donald or Terra or Goofy or Donald or Aqua, or a combination if you want to swap out Goofy for Aqua or Ven for Terra, so you're stacked on both sides. Or if you want, you can have the trio and then like Stitch.
Right.
Everyone still levels up the same. It's just Donald and Goofy aren't there.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a cool idea.
Yeah, I agree.
And then like if you go to like, oh, let's throw a dart. Fuck. What's a world they visited? I don't know. Beauty and the Beast again. Fuck it. And you bring the Days trio. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Just same rules apply, but then this time you have like Beast or I don't know. Bring in Mirrorverse Belle with her staff and a book. I'd be cool with that. Make Mirrorverse canon. That would be so cool.
Yeah, Mirrorverse is cool. Okay, so actually, this is kind of a tangent, but I think it's a cool tangent. So Mirrorverse, I really love all their designs and all that kind of stuff. But I was looking at it and I'm like, what about this donut? Like I like it, but I'm like, why do I still prefer the Disney characters in the Kingdom Hearts games? And I think it's because I like the idea of them being the movie characters and they are dragged into a different genre rather than like a different genre rather than like them being like altered to fit it inherently, I guess.
You like the world bending around them rather than them bending around the world.
Yes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because I agree with you. There's something lacking about these versions of the characters because they basically have because I played pretty far into the game when it first came out in July. There's something missing about this. Like they have their original characterization, but then you've got like Doc Holliday, Woody, Wall-Ed, Wally over here, and then you've got like badass heroine Elsa, but they still act as their original movie selves, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So like I think the only one that has a truly different personality is Belle, who is just like this, I do not trust you and I do not want to, I could throw you with my staff, but I don't want to because I need to keep you close enough to double check what you're doing. Maleficent.
Well, and I think maybe it would work out for me if they were in the Kingdom Hearts games. I think it would work for me if they had their original voice actors, and I might be able to.
Yeah, like 100%.
That's what they do with the Final Fantasy characters, where they are remixed to fit the Kingdom Hearts world. So I could see, because I know some Final Fantasy fans don't like that, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's an interesting dichotomy because I'm fine with it for the Final Fantasy characters, but I also don't know any of these people. So to me, their Kingdom Hearts version is them. But I do know a lot of these Disney characters. So like I'm saying right now, would I have a problem with that? So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting dilemma.
See, the weird thing is that I kind of found it backwards, where when I played 7's remake and I was finally able to like understand who Cloud was as a person, I was like, huh. So is the Cage version just his Advent Children self? I'm confused on how this works. And I go back and I watch cutscenes with Cloud and Sora, and I'm like, that kind of is just him at the start of 7, isn't it?
Well, the thing with the thing that's like just a complete lie in Kingdom Hearts, which is very funny, is that like Sephiroth is like tied to Cloud and like is his darkness, which is like completely fucking wrong.
But that's so weird because like when I played Seven's remake, they completely doubled down on that. That's
Yeah,
completely
Seven remake very much leans into. I mean, it's Nomura. It very
Yeah,
much
of course.
leans into that interpretation of them. Whereas like in actual Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth is just some guy that like Cloud knew whenever like they worked together and like he was there for very important events. But he is not like he doesn't give a shit about Cloud. Like
Yeah.
you know that.
And
Kind of
that's another thing that Jeb said in his 7 remake video, which is like an hour and a half long of complaining about this. And I'm like, I mean, I can go on about things that I enjoy, but I can't complain. I mean, I'm trying to get into that headspace for Miraculous, but like,
yeah,
that show is so terrible.
you gotta channel your inner hater.
Let the hate flow through you. But yeah, with that, he said that like Sephiroth was just like this imposing guy that you didn't see until the end of the game or something, or the end of disc 1. I forget how he phrases it. And it's just like, yeah, but that was in the 90s. This is 2020. This is 2020 when this is being released. He just got put into Smash, for God's sake. Everyone knows the legacy of Sephiroth. Like, he's a meme.
Yeah, I think he was more framing it so from his thesis of like kind of what we were talking about with like, if you're going to do Kingdom Hearts 1, I don't care that there's more lore you could put into it. Leave it as is. Just leave the story alone, you know? So I think
that's fair.
I think that's where he was coming from, of more like, I don't care if everyone knows who Sephiroth is. You're chasing Sephiroth, and you're calling this as a remake. It's not a remake. It's a reimagining.
Yeah.
But I totally get you where it's like, yeah, like with Sephiroth and all these things, yeah, they've been altered over time. But I don't know. I'm not bothered by them being different in Kingdom Hearts. So I don't know.
Me either. My thing is that, especially with the 7 remake, is that like I knew nothing of 7's story. I hadn't played the original before the remake, so I have no context for this. I should probably play the original so I can have context. But like, I have absolutely no idea what their dynamic is in the original. And if they had not given me Sephiroth until the end of the game, I would have been like, where the fuck is Sephiroth? Like, that's all I know. One thing about 7 is that Sephiroth is in this thing and he and Cloud have some kind of beef with each other. That's it. And because of Advent Children and Crisis Core coming after the original 7 and giving them backstory, I know there's more context here. And so 7's remake is like, okay, now that we're made after those contexts were made, we can kind of
we're gonna add it back in.
Yeah, we can write it back in a natural way rather than it coming up out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, it's like it's trying to sell itself more, maybe not as a Final Fantasy VII remake, but more like a Final Fantasy VII like comprehensive version, where it's like everything that was written afterwards. Like, it's like, what if we wrote Final Fantasy VII with the context of all the other things written afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. But
which is what a lot of good writers can do, and I think that's fine. It's just with people get very uppity about their things. Like okay, again, we both said earlier, and we just reiterated that if they were to change KH1, I would be a little frustrated because Nomura can't leave well enough alone. So I'm afraid they would not add the fun things like more Disney interactions or another world that's just kind of like a throwaway one. No, it's more like, oh, the organization's getting roped into this earlier, or like
I don't know, he just might remove the Final Fantasy characters.
Rather than doubling down on it, he lightens it. Or
he's just like, who fucking cares? Because he's like, if we release it now, who's gonna know who Cloud is? Or, oh wait, I just made a remake for it.
Yeah, like although I would love it if all of the actors from the remake were in the remake of KH1, because I love Aerith's new actress. She's so good.
She's super cute.
She's so good. I like Aerith now because of that game.
Yeah, I mean, voice acting can do a lot. So
she's just so charming. It's just like, oh man, now I actually understand and care, and I'm in the middle of the discourse of the Aerith, Cloud, Tifa love triangle. I'm like, why not have a both?
You've done this to me.
I mean, they're both equally good options in opposite directions. I just don't know. Do you want a girlfriend that could punch you and you like it, or do you want a girlfriend who could take you home to see mama? Because they can both cook and make you drinks. It's not that. They're equal in that regard.
The reason you go with Aerith is because with Tifa, when you go to a party, like, you know what she's gonna say, you know what she's gonna do, but it's just the same every time. But with Aerith, she's going to be really sweet, and then every now and then she throws in a cuss word, and you just burst out laughing. You're like, I love you, honey. And that's what makes Aerith great.
Tifa is your childhood girlfriend where you know she wants Qdoba before she even knows she's thought about wanting Qdoba. And then Aerith is that girl you met in college, and you're like, you're so interesting. I have to know you more. And then the more time you spend with her, the spontaneity she gives is what you crave. And so...
Indeed. So I solved it for you. You go with it. until she
I
dies.
get. I don't know why I have a say in this. Women are not my forte.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna be like such a funny like clip out of context of like, see, like if you ever got let's say you ever got like really famous and it's just like, I bet Chris is pretending to be gay. Here's an out of context clip. You can't have an Aerith Tifa debate.
The true weeb debate that proves your heterosexualness.
Yeah,
Tifa versus Aerith.
Yeah, there's no way he can be gay.
Not like I can't see women as three-dimensional people or anything. God. No, but Aerith do got them fat titties though.
That's true.
Who put her in that outfit? I demand to know. Because that's who did I demand, because I don't know what's worse. The short skirt that's also a skirt with the tank top, or is it the overalls with the boots? I have questions. And I demand to know because they need to be punched by Tifa very hard and not in the sexy way.
Well, in remake, she has a very firm sports bra that does not let them jiggle. So
I noticed that she's got PS2 titties that don't move at all.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm fine with them shrinking them. I love that this is our new cage. I'm fine that they shrunk them because they're not that much smaller, honestly.
No, they're not.
But it does weird me out that like there's like a scene where like they jump out of the train and like they're rolling around, and I'm like, I don't need them flopping like High School of the Dead anime or whatever. But like,
we don't need Lollipop Chainsaw, but we need some kind of physics.
It just looks weird that they're not moving.
Okay, so I did not actually pay attention to that when I first played the game. So I'm gonna actually look at that really fast because I don't remember that. Because I didn't pay attention to her.
So that's the
weird
fair.
Problem. Yeah. I never paid attention to her because like
Birth by Sleep. Okay, so
yeah. Oh, don't get me started on Birth by Sleep Final Fantasy. Zack, oh my god, he's so creepy. The internet made me do a thing, and I bought Crisis Core. I haven't started Crisis Core yet because I've been working on this video, but I bought Crisis Core just because the internet was like, Twitter was like, it was something about like, what's your thoughts on Zack in Birth by Sleep or whatever? And I'm like, I just think he's creepy. I don't get the appeal, because I was reading the comments and I didn't get it. And people were like, oh, well, if you played Crisis Core, there's a remake coming out soon. It'll give you all the context. And I'm like, all right, fine. I won't misjudge him terribly. I'm just like, she said no. She said no. Leave her alone.
The real creep is Phil in that world.
Oh no, they're both bad. It's just that
Phil's like, look, doll face, blah blah blah, and then like Hercules.
Phil's like that to everyone though. I can get behind. Well, I can't get behind that. I don't want it. I don't like it. But he's like to every woman, and he always gets his just desserts for it. So I don't care about that. That's just Phil being Phil, and he gets his just desserts in the movie, in the show, in the games. He's punished. But Zack is just like, you beat me. So how about one date? And I'm like, what? Let's not. And she's like, no. She's like, no, I'm good. No, thanks. And he's like, and there are people who were, I think even Avery said this was charming. And I'm like, it's not. It's really not.
I think it's charming if you look at it from a sense of like, it's stupid. Like if you just look at it from like, she goes, no, and then he's like, yeah, okay, and he leaves. It's like, oh, Zack, you stupid idiot. But obviously, like if you're trying to look at it more from like you're saying, of like, it's like she said no, don't imply you're getting a date.
Well, okay,
that
I've had men do this to me. So I'm speaking from experience where it's just like, oh no, I know that uncomfortable feeling of how do I get out of this conversation? And then thank God he left, so I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it definitely just depends on like what like how much of the realism are you gonna crank into the scene. I don't mean like realism like, like, oh, he was gonna rape her, so
No, it's just the uncomfortability of being like,
exactly. The relatability of the uncomfortability of someone not taking no,
Yeah, and I don't doubt he's a sweet man. I mean, again, the 7 remake has Aerith like lovingly remember him. I know that she's his ex, and they're only exes because he's dead.
Damn it. I don't know why
I had no other way to phrase that.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that was so funny. It sounded like I think it was because it almost sounded like a diss at Zack for some reason. like he's
I can see that.
He's fucking dead.
The only reason that they're exes is because he's dead, because they both loved each other, and I could totally see that. And the way she talks about him is so nice. And he apparently grew up after this pervy scene with Aqua.
I think it's
awkward Aqua scene.
I think it's also the voice that probably sells it for people, where he does sound pretty young. So like,
Yeah.
you kind of chalk it up to like he's dumb, he's just being horny, and he left.
Yeah,
whatever.
like he's a horny teenage boy, and I can totally get that. We've all been horny teenage boys. I get that. It just
you related too much to Aqua for it to be charming.
Yeah, like as an adult coming, if I had played this when it came out in like 2008, when I was a newly out boy, I wouldn't, or a newly out gay boy, I wouldn't have given a shit. I probably wouldn't like, oh, that's just, because we all do stupid shit at that age. But like now as a 21-year-old, when I came into it, I was like, oh, that's not good. That's aged badly.
Yeah.
That's aged badly.
I think Hades also calls her like girl or something like that. Like they're all,
yeah, but
everyone is very sexist.
Yeah.
Except for
which like
Herc's a good boy. Herc's just like, I don't get it. Like
Herc's just like, muscle punchy, like he's just like he's 10-pound of brick and a 5-pound bag of stupid, and it's great.
Yeah, he's trying to be a hero. Is she gonna help me or what?
He doesn't care. He's only got eyes for Meg, and she's not even around for another 5 years of his life.
Yeah.
But in Hades, calling her girl or a little bluebird or a little girl,
yeah,
I don't recognize that as like the tone is condescending because he's a dick. Like that makes sense.
He's literally the devil or whatever, or not really. But
yeah, he's Satan Hades. Like he's fine.
Yeah. Did you ever find that Tifa clip?
I didn't. I got distracted. Hang on.
Okay, you can give up. You don't have to do it.
Okay, because like
you can just believe me.
Because I played that game, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the scene you're talking about, but I haven't played it.
I'm trying to think here. What else is there? I mean, speaking of Tifa, I really love her scene in KH2 where she just comes in and like the boys are just being gentlemen, being like, they're just like, oh, what's up? She's like, oh, I'm just looking for stuff, and then she leaves, and they just for no reason just like, no bother, ma'am.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that, like they're just like, she's like, can I barge in for half? Can I just like make my cameo in the most awkward way possible? And they're like, sure. And then she just like punches a wall, picks up a painting, and goes, well, that was pointless. Bye. And then no bother.
I think that's the funniest part of her cameo is that it is actually like crucially
the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh, what's that?
It's like the Kool-Aid Man, but it mattered.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so funny too because she comes in and then she like looks around and then she removes the painting and like actually moves the plot forward. It's so funny. She's like, man, this is fucking dumb. I was looking for my B plot.
I was looking for my B plot, and then I just helped the main plot.
The main story. This is stupid. I'm leaving.
It's like, oh man, I was actually helpful for one. Damn. Well, I'm gonna go find Cloud or whatever.
Yeah,
I need a drink.
That's why in my KH2 video, like I like her cameo because I just think it's funny. I love the joke of like, have you seen a boy with spiky hair? And he pulls his hair over. Oh, spiky hair. Like that's cute. And also I just
I would have laughed if he went Riku, and she's like spikier.
she goes Riku.
Yeah, Riku.
Riku. But I do really like the idea. Or so in my KH2 video, when I talk about like, oh, you team up with all your friends, I told my editor specifically, do not use any footage of you fighting with Tifa. She is not Sora's friend. I was that nitpicky about the editing.
Yeah, because she's not. She just met him like 5 minutes ago.
She literally, her literal entrance is, I'll help.
Like, I've known her for, like, all of Tron, and that's it.
It is really cool when she punches those Heartless, though.
I really want... I have this... I came up with Keyblades and form changes. There's 2 Keyblades that have a form change that's just gauntlets for Sora to put over his normal gauntlets and punch things. I want him to punch something so hard.
Should have they become gauntlets, and you can depending on if you have the gun Keyblade, like the Starseeker or whatever it was, if you have that Keyblade, you can combine them, and Sora pulls out his guns, and then he puts fists mittens over the guns, and you shoot punch.
Like Barrett's?
Yeah, I guess so. But while you're punching, I guess you're more like the one girl from Ruby, like blonde or something.
Yang.
Yeah, you're more like Yang. That's what I want.
I love how we somehow once we got to Tifa, I knew it was gonna happen in the back of my head. Eventually, we got to Yang because that's a big Rooster Teeth sticking point. Like the guy who animated the first couple seasons of Ruby before he died, Monty Ohm, loved using Tifa in fights he would do for machinima stuff.
His little animations.
Yeah, and Yang was directly inspired by that to the point that Death Battle had Yang and Tifa fight, and it's like one of their best fights.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
so good because they're both punchy punchies.
Yeah, just one has a gun attached.
Yeah, and then Tifa's got magic.
Yeah, she can do magic and summoning and stuff.
And dolphins.
And dolphins.
Fucking dolphin kick. I can't wait for the 7 Remake 2 to come out where like dolphin uppercut becomes a thing again because I have dolphin kick unlocked, but I'm like, where's the dolphin uppercut?
Dolphin?
Why does she have that?
Because it's funny.
It is funny, but like, damn.
Oh boy. I'm trying to think here. I mean, at this point we've gone past just like talking about the worlds in terms of trying to like go through them all. So I guess fuck it. Let's talk about, is there any worlds from like DDD or like Birth by Sleep or anything that you want to talk about that you think like, oh, I really like this aspect or blah blah blah. Like for Birth by Sleep, I actually really like the 3 visits idea. I think that's a way that Kingdom Hearts going forward should do it, where you don't have to have revisits, but with our kind of general setup of like all the characters are involved, you can be that like Sora goes to a world at the start and his is more like typical, but then like later in the story you might revisit that world and go to a different part of it, but you're as Terra, you know?
Yeah, I like the team aspect, keeping that because like that's so integral to like the main titles that it would be weird to get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta have party members.
Exactly. I kind of want them to start letting us play more as like the Remind section with Mickey was a good start and it's a good step forward. I want them to let us control like Donald and Goofy and Mickey more, like so that we can have like kind of like a Dynasty Warrior setup where we can pick what member. So everyone's going on the same adventure. It's just that's what we're doing. It's the same adventure. Everyone's up to speed. It's all 12 of these guys and we're good to go.
You just pick who you want to play.
Exactly. And everyone levels up. I think Persona 5 did this well, where everyone levels up the same, but I think you have to earn that. So I think at the start of the game, everyone levels up in the main party at full XP, but everyone that isn't in the party gets like half XP. That way they're still leveling up, but they still need to be used.
Okay.
I think that's cool. I think Sora obviously would be like an all-arounder. Then everyone else needs to have an elemental type. Like again, Persona 5 Strikers did this, where like everyone had their own element to work with. Like I can't fucking pick a name for this man. Lee has fire. Aqua's got water. Terra's earth. Donald's the all-around mage. Ven is wind because that makes sense. Just stuff like that. That way everyone's got a utility, and you can't just stomp the game by playing as all the protagonist characters. Like you can't play all this. You can't play the Sortas and win the game.
You can't just like buy all the attacks like in Birth by Sleep.
Oh yeah, no. Everyone gets their own level up chain.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I would
that way you
also
can't cheese it. I mean, obviously everyone gets like game specific winks and nods. Like the BBS trio gets the surges, but like they only get one of each. So like Terra gets fire, Ventus gets thunder, and Aqua gets barrier surge.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
No, I think as far as like something like that, but like a little different, I would bring back Olympus once more. But the way it works now is that Sora's like, oh, you know, he gets into the competition, and then like Hades makes it to where it's like, oh, you know, let's make it interesting. You can invite any friend you know. Like I'm willing to kill as many people you know as possible, Sora. So heck yeah. And so you can actually create any party member you want in Olympus and like in the tournament, and you can grab any party member from any Disney world. And the justification in universe is that Hades will just teleport them to the underworld because everyone's connected by death or whatever. And so that would be really cool. That way, like Disney, you know, can't get too mad at us where it's like, oh, we have to put all these characters. Like, no, they're not in a story or anything. It's just you can use them in an arena. You know, for goodies. Okay, calm down.
Well, that's the big thing is that Disney doesn't want to use characters in a fighting game, and I'm like, what the fuck do you think they're in now?
Yeah,
like,
I was
you
gonna
can do
say
this so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts is nothing but them slaughtering monsters.
I think they don't want to hit each other is the thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but go full JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and just see how it works. It's super fun.
Also, just like everyone's doing it, it's fine. Nobody cares anymore. Like you don't
got
have
a kart racing game already.
Disney
Jesus.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Like they've already got like Disney Speedway or whatever.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it, Disney.
Like,
don't be cowards.
Yeah, like who cares? Anyway, if we're gonna do that, I think like that would be a good gateway to open up. Like, since everyone's brought back but is connected by death, you can bring back a falling Keyblade wielder and make your own player character for the Coliseum.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that's what I want. I want like the Coliseum to be like our like next game, because it's going to be in 4 anyway. It's not like a story world because we've done it to death, but it is still like we bring back what wasn't in 3. It is a Coliseum. Like you get prizes, and we do it like Cage 1, not bullshit Cage 2 where you get anything until you beat it. You get experience for every match throughout matches. Like every 10 matches, you get like a reward, which was awesome in Cage 1. Like just make it a cool little tournament place that you just keep coming back to.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm good to keep talking as long as you want, but it's been 2 hours. So is there anything else you want to discuss?
I mean, we could, not on this specific topic. We're just kind of like, we've been tangenting
Yeah,
for like 2 hours.
We're gonna have to name this like just talking about Kingdom Hearts.
First podcast jitters.
Yeah. Hey, I've had fun.
Oh, me too. The only thing I can think of to talk about is like, I really wish going forward, Kairi got more screen time. We've discussed this a little bit, but I want her to have more development and screen time, and I want Riku to be a fucking party member for more than a boss fight.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Like, they need to take more advantage of like just people like Kairi. Just like here's the thing, right? I always hate this excuse of like Kairi has to train, and that's why it's not. It's like, you know who never had to train? Anyone they fucking wanted in this series. It's Kingdom Hearts. This is my least favorite type of Kingdom Hearts defense system, which is when you try to like look at it like that of like, well, Kairi still needs to train, so she can't be a party member. Guys, this is Kingdom Hearts, the series that from day 1 is okay with doing whatever the fuck it wants. You can make it up. Just say she got good. Yeah, you know?
Just say she got good over there, off screen, like you tried to imply in 3. Like, I don't understand why that's a problem.
Yeah, just make her cool. It's not hard. And they did in Remind. Like, I love playing as her in that game for the boss. Like, she has a really fun moveset. So going forward into 4, I really do agree with you. I hope they just let you, even if it's not make your own party, because I feel like it won't be that. But I do feel like Sora's story should be in Unreality for the most part. And then all the other characters are the ones going to a bunch of Disney worlds. And then Sora can go back to it once you like save him or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I think each world should have its own individualized story for one of the characters we all like. And one of those characters definitely should be Kairi, you know?
Yes, exactly. I have thrown flack at the Kairi fight in Remind to hell and back because I'm glad she got screen time. I'm glad she got to be a badass, but her saying like, please work should not have been a thing. I'm sorry.
I'm just talking about combat, like actually playing.
Oh no, combat. I'm a little wary as to how she got that good that quickly. But then again, it was kind of like a cathartic, like, oh my God, my girl has like.
Well, it's like in a dream dimension.
Yeah, it's their hearts or whatever, and I'm fine with that.
It's what I mean. It's like it's Kingdom Hearts bullshit. You could just say whatever. Like they're in a dream, and she's really strong now because she's fighting alongside Sora. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I just don't like how they like. I'm fine with her being strong. It's that they made her weak and strong at the same time, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like they undermined it, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, I getcha. Well, especially in like Melody of Memory, where she's like, "I'm coming for you, Xehanort," and he's like, "Grab." It's like, oh well, I tried.
That cutscene was amazing. Like he was legitimately terrified of her, and then out of nowhere, Sora takes over her body, and I'm like, no, go back. No, you were doing good. Go back. Have it. No, go back. Go back. Like you didn't. Like, I'm happy about the KH3 Sora retro model. I'm cool with that. But like, go back. Go back. Go back. You could have just made a Kairi fight. Why?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so cool with you doing 1,000 things with her, but pick one of them and just stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I agree with you about Riku. Like, I would like him to be back. I don't know. Kingdom Hearts 3, like, one of its big problems, right, was that it was like, guys, this is, like, the most obvious thing ever. You let us, like, play these fights as the characters we're teaming up with. And thankfully, they put that in Remind, right?
Yes.
But it's like, guys, for KH4, don't make that mistake.
Learn from the internet.
Yeah, for once.
Like we've said, I think the future of the series is not so much individual games about the trios. It's more trying to figure out how do we get each trio to get their screen time where the plot is progressed and they have like cul-de-sac cutscenes.
Yes.
where they all got kind of exchange notes because that way everyone feels important. And I kind of like Riku being like the darkness detective.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that works for him.
Yeah,
Like
just so
him
long
and
as David
him,
Gallagher
Mickey, and
decides to cry.
what do you mean?
Or his voice actor, like, because in Remind, he's like, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy went to the realm of darkness.
See, I cut him slack there because A, this was right at the start of COVID, and
True.
B, after a year of having to explain all that stuff to people, I think you'd kind of be robotic as well. You'd be like, just like, oh my god, I'm so tired of explaining this.
So you think for 4 he'll have more
Be back on his A game.
Okay, cool. But sorry, go ahead. You were
Yeah,
talking about
you're
Riku.
good. I think him being like the darkness detective or like being Mr. Recon is like where he belongs, unless he's gonna be like glued to Sora, which I'm not opposed to. But like,
Yeah.
there's something that's hard to do because like we have an odd number of people to work with in terms of a group. We've got 4 distinct trios, but they're split up weirdly, where we've got one who doesn't do anything, one who's tied off with the leader of another trio, and then the leader of the other trio is the main character. So it's hard to get Kairi, Riku, Mickey, Sora, Donald, and Goofy to all make sense because the days in BBS trios are locked. People will not let them be apart.
All right.
As much as I would like to,
here's my hot take. I think that Roxas, Shion, and Axel can fuck off.
no, thank you. Oh my god, I'm so tired of these 3 depressing bitches.
Just
I
let
don't
them have their
care.
ice cream.
Like, let them be. Like, I don't care what they're doing. They're not interesting.
Well, they already did all their interesting stuff. So there's nothing left, you know? Like, that's why Roxas, I just don't understand why he needed to come back. The interesting part of his character was done. So, so leave him. So yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. Well, same with Shion. Like, I would have just left Shion dead, which originally she was supposed to, but Nomura gave it.
This is why I think that they should have left them be dead, because now we have Naminé, and Naminé I get coming back. She kind of made sense. She didn't have a character arc to work. Like, she was just kind of brought up and then never really went away. I don't know how she got back into Kairi in the first place, but if you wanted to bring her back because she had her own different thing to go with, she could be like the world's most powerful fucking mage. Or she do something that Fairy Tail has. Like, there's a character in the anime Fairy Tail who does a thing called Picto Magic, where he draws things to life. That's literally what Naminé could do, and I think that would be such an interesting concept as a character.
Yeah.
So and that way, if you get rid of Roxas and Shion, you have 2 people left in a trio from the Days trio, and just call it the Misfit trio.
Yeah. And I'll always say with Roxas, I should have had him. I'm fine with him coming back in 3 for the
hurrah.
For the boss fight. I think
like for the.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying like, yeah, for like the last hurrah.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said because it's raw.
No. The last hurrah.
Yeah, no, like he should come back to protect his friends, and it should be like a miracle moment of like him being able to like basically like take over Sora's body or something. And like Sora allows it, obviously.
Yeah.
And then like they do that. And then like or maybe like you do bring up, what do you want to say, the clones or whatever, the what are they called? The replicas. You bring up the replicas and like they make it, instead of like the replicas being permanent, the replicas are like temporary. So then you can have like, back and you can have Roxas back, and he can control the replica. And then like, but after he does the fight, like his body breaks because he's using so much power, and like he's so cool, he's so badass. So there you go, that's your excuse. And then he evaporates and he saves his friends. You know?
Yeah, and then Shion evaporates because she's just a clone. Not even a clone, she's just a data construction, so she's just kind of like out of juice or whatever. And then they get their happy, like the Sea Salt trio gets their happy ending where everyone got to say goodbye properly and everyone remembers who everyone is, and fine. And
yeah,
then,
exactly. Like that would be yeah, exactly. Because then they could remember, like they could remember that they had passed on, and so it wouldn't be like, oh, I got you back and now you're gone, but more of like
that.
Now I remember and get the closure. You know?
That, or the ending of 3 has Axel go to Twilight Town and he opens up a computer with a sticky note or something from Diz. It's like from Diz. It's like, I'm sorry for all the hurt I put you through. And he boots it up and it's like Code Lyoko, where it's just Roxas and Xion in cyberspace, and he can go visit them in Digital Twilight Town.
Yeah, and it's Kingdom Hearts, so like it counts, like they have hearts or whatever.
Yeah, like Code Lyoko shit. I'm completely fine with that. Like that's already been proven to be heart-wrenchingly cool. And if you want to keep the option open for later story events that they come back, or better yet, put them in Heartbinders, that'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Yeah, just with Roxas, the whole reason he worked was that it was just that he was a tragic character who contrasted like contrasted like Sora's happy adventure, and it was kind of like a cool little twist of like, in order to play as Sora and get the game you wanted, this other character has to go, and it tied into the concept of nobodies. And the reason he got a happy ending is because nobody's existences are miserable, and yet he gets to have the bittersweet ending of like still existing within Sora and getting to be with Kairi, because at the end of 2 they were going to be together forever and not go off on 50 different billion fucking adventures. And so like like
Someone's bitter.
It was supposed to be like a happy ending for Roxas, in the sense
Also-
of being a nobody and having this awful existence. He was the only one, along with Naminé, who got to continue living, even beyond Axel. Like Axel died, but now that he's back, he's just a cool badass, and it's like this boring. Who fucking cares?
We already have cool badasses. We have like 7 of them.
His name's Sora, so get out of here.
Yeah, it's Sora, Riku, Ven, Terra, Aqua, and Riku, and then Kairi's over here.
Yeah.
Kairi's over here learning how to like.
Maybe we could make her one too if we weren't focused on these losers. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah. The other thing, like I'm a shipper at heart. We know this. Exactly what the fuck are we gonna do when Roxas has 2 different waifus? How do we reconcile this?
Yeah, because that's a stupid about. We'll both agree on this. That's a stupid thing about 3, where they're like, actually, she's gonna like, I guess, date Riku now and go on adventures with him. Fuck you, go away.
Okay, I love Naminé. She is best girl. I will fight people on this. Whoever's like, oh man, Naminé and Riku had a lot of cool, awesome adventures off screen during 358 days. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not how any of this works. That's not how that happened. Like, first of all, it's not on screen. It doesn't count. And secondly, and more importantly, what?
Well, and that's what
like,
the thing that made Naminé and Roxas thing cute wasn't that like, oh man, they had such chemistry. It was the idea of like, again, their existences as nobodies compelled.
They were commiserating over their shared misery.
Well, it compelled them to each other because part of that love came from what Sora and Kairi have in that game. So like that idea of like it's not like, oh, forced romance. It's that like, oh, there's this mysterious thing that connects me to you. It's basically, what people say love is basically, and like it was able to shortcut the idea of like, getting to know somebody, blah, 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 because of like, yeah, you said the shared misery. But yeah, now he has 2 waifus. So what do you do?
Which is also really, like, I'm a non-monogamous person. I'm okay with polyamory in relationships if it makes sense. But more often than not in stuff like this, it doesn't arise from a character idea of like, maybe we could try dating all together, or I could date both of you or whatever. No, it's just like shippers just want like, well, they have 2 hands and so that's okay. No, it's not. I want answers. I want satisfying payoff to this shit. You can't set them both up and then like not entertain the idea and just be like, well, we're just gonna all date each other because that's easier. And like, no, I want, like, if that's the answer you come to as a writer, I'm cool with it, but I want it to make sense.
Just make it make it actually a story, basically.
Yes, like I'm fine if that's a story thread you explore. They're not going to, but if they did, it'd be really cool. But I feel like, I've seen people say that so many times with Sora and Riku and Kairi, and it's like, no, they've written a good relationship here, and they've done stupid shit with her over here. I'm sticking with the boys.
Yeah, well, because the thing I always say is like in KH1, he definitely likes Kairi, and in KH2, he definitely likes Kairi. In KH3, he definitely likes Riku. So,
see, here's the thing: in KH1, it's like he definitely likes Kairi because she's new and interesting, and that's cool to him. That's fine. And he likes her in that way where, because I went through this when I was a teenager, when I was about 13, where like you like this girl because she's nice to you and she's pretty and you share a lot of interests, and then you look over and you're like, oh, there's that boy. I wonder what that says about me. Well, I'm gonna go back over here ignoring that for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's definitely attracted to her in 2 because like he actually blushes. He has like romantic feelings about her or whatever. But then I agree with you in 1. It's more like a close friend or whatever.
Well, I think that in 2, he kind of they step that up one more on both levels, because the whole time I make jokes about this throughout the entire series that like every time everyone's like, oh, I know who you're thinking about, I'm like, yeah, it's Riku. Like, what are you talking about? and then like he does that dancing thing with Kairi in Halloween Town, and I'm like, is it weird that it's her KH1 model? I get why it is.
He doesn't remember. He doesn't know what she looks like.
No, I know. I get why that is, but it's like, would this be any weirder if it was Riku? because I'm just being petty. I'm just being petty at this point.
No, I get you. The thing I would argue that obviously with Riku, like the thing people always go to is like him getting on his knees and be like, I searched for you. But is also very willing to get on his knees and literally beg for Kairi. So
well, he was told to do that. He did that apropos of nothing for Riku. And with that hug with Kairi, I've always found that as like I don't know what to do with this emotion. Like, do I hug you? Do I throw you off this cliff? What do I do? Like, and then with Riku, he's just like, just tears, like hugging now.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, but and then by the time you get to
3,
he's just like, here, have a fruit, Kairi. Num num num.
No. Not even have a fruit, Kairi. It's like she's like, hey Sora, do you wanna like shoves fruit in his face? You wanna have that moment that means something that shouldn't mean anything now because it's been 20 years? And he's like, sure, we'll have the fruit moment.
Yeah, you're still my friend.
Yeah, like you're my friend. Because like
nice.
they're talking on the I don't know, I don't even know what to call this, like the friendship tree. I don't know. They're sitting on that thing. And Riku's talking to Riku Replica in his brain over on the beach. And Sora, while talking to Kairi's like, I wonder what he's doing. Like, there is so much. That scene is trying to no homo them so hard. I can't even. Because, like, it's like, he's with Kairi, but he's still thinking about him.
Oh, boy. That's very funny. Yeah, I hope I hope he lives his best life with Strelitzia, gets a part-time job.
Oh, that's a mechanic. If that's a reference to KH2 where it's like, go get some money. What do you mean? Get a job. It's like, oh.
Here's the thing. I hope that Nomura, because like what I don't like about 3 is that a lot of it feels like Nomura being like, but I really want to make 4. And so what I really want for 4 is I want him to do what he did with the Roxas section, which is find some weird hyperfixation he wants to do and then just go like 110%. So if he wants to like, because he had said like, oh, when you're playing Sora in this new game, we really want to like build up this idea of like you living his life and like you'll be going back to the apartment every now and then, or like you'll be going back and forth to the apartment and kind of like getting used to his life. So I genuinely hope that even if these mechanics never appear anywhere else in the world, that he makes it towards like, you got to get a job as Sora, you got to get money, you got to ride the taxi,
like just making you do the life sim part of Persona 5.
Yeah, and that's Sora's gameplay, and then everyone else is doing actual Kingdom Hearts combat.
Everyone else is the Phantom Thieves, Sora's just Joker outside of in Shibuya.
Yeah, and then like, once you reach like the 10-hour mark where they free him or whatever, then you play as him again. But I don't know. Yeah, I just want Nomura to be like super passionate about like a very weird specific thing he wants to do in the series again.
Yeah.
Like I just hope like with that, like he really goes all out with it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. But we got to call this because it's 10 o'clock where I am and we've been at this for 2.5 hours.
Hey, so I had a great time.
Me too, man. 1000%.
Yeah.
We got to do this again soon.
Sorry to the people watching this that we did not end up talking about the thing we mentioned, but we warned you. So
we did warn you, and we kind of let's end this with what is your least favorite world of the series?
Least favorite world. Well, I'll leave this to just the main 3 games, just because like the rest of the games I would probably have lesser favorites because I'm not as into the combat. So I don't think it's really fair.
Yes.
So as far as the main games, I think probably Atlantica from 2. Because here's the thing. I can see that. I love that world for the songs.
Yes.
But I hate that it is the embodiment of we're just doing the movie and Sora Donald and Goofy watch. So I would probably say that. As far as a real world, I will say my least favorite is probably that sounds boring, but like my least favorite is Arendelle. And it's just, it just genuinely is because like I think just going up and down and up and down and up and down and like not interacting with the characters, all that kind of stuff does just make it less fun.
I need to make a PowerPoint now because I actually have this thing where I want to defend Arendelle a little bit, not from a levels perspective, but from a plot perspective. But that's a next time thing. That's a next time thing.
But I guess I'll go with that one for now. There might be another world that I dislike, but that one just simply because it has the least of kind of like Sora and Goofy interacting. I don't really enjoy I personally don't enjoy looking for Olaf just because of the audio of him going, Sora,
I'm over here.
I'm over here. So just for
Yeah.
that alone, I think it's my least favorite.
No, I agree. But for my least favorite world, it's still Deep Jungle. It's still Deep Jungle
Okay.
because it's just this weird. When I think of that world, I think of like a really weird, like mustard yellow, not a fun color. It's confusing sometimes. It's just not fun to navigate. The world seems very much like a fetch quest of kind of like Arendelle, go here, go there, come back here, come back to this place,
yeah.
go up the treehouse, go back down to the tent for like this one conversation to trigger the next event. And it's a lot of backtracking for such a small level and such a small game. It's just,
Yeah, I agree.
it's just not fun. But with that, I think we got to call it here.
Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for having me. And
Of course.
thank you all very much for watching. I hope we'll do something more like this again.
Yeah. And as
All right,
always,
take
my
care,
name
guys.
is Chris.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're fine. I was like, as always, my name is Chris. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do what you do, and I hope you guys have a fractastic day.
All righty. Take care, guys. Bye.